All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Tech Audio Chat. This is the time when I would insert a standard YouTube greeting. Hello. Just imagine it. Greetings. I am Dan Reynolds. For those of you who are new or confused, I'm a technical sound designer, currently working at Epic Games. And I'm joined by Aaron McLeran. The rhyme is intentional.
Absolutely intentional.
And do you want to introduce yourself? There we go. I got a little bio for you there.
Nice. So fancy, Dan. This is like, this is pro. I'm really impressed.
It's what is that? Fake it till you make it. That's the saying. Yeah.
I really like this. This is impressive. It's not a Zoom. It's something else.
Zoom Plus.
Yeah, Zoom Plus. So I'm Aaron. I work with Dan. Dan and I have been working together for a while now.
Yeah. It's like 9 years, I think. That in just a couple weeks, actually. I think it's not my 9th year.
Oh, cool. This is neat. I can see when people join. Is that the people watching on the left?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. We've got Charles in the chat and Steven
what's up, Charles?
in the chat. Charles is giving us a llama.
Nice. This is so fancy. Look at that.
That's very on brand.
Yay.
I assume that's like a wave and not just like something squirting out
in between the two fingers.
The 2 fingers.
Check out my hands. Anyways, so Dan and I have been working together for a while. We've been at Epic I've been there for like 10 and a half years, almost 11 years now. And Dan joined us with way back in the day as QA. So it was like Dan and I working together and on Unreal Engine stuff. And we've been there from almost the beginning of at least our era.
Yeah.
I guess that
yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. But
there are different
there's different eras.
Yeah, there are different eras.
So UE 4.6 was when I joined Epic. So I remember that was my first engine release.
I think I joined right before the release of 4.13.
Yeah, the early days,
the 4.10 stuff.
They were doing Unreal Engine releases like every other month, and it was. I think I remember, like licensees were like, "Whoa, hold your horses," and it's like evolved into like twice a year now. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I'm the audio engine director at Epic, but I've been doing music stuff in audio for a really long time. I'm coming up on my 45th birthday. It's at the it's actually at the thing where it's 45. It's 45. I want to be 45.
It's very do you start counting at 0 or not?
Yeah, exactly. And so I've been around for a while. My first game job was 2007, so almost 20 years. 18 years.
Yeah, you have kind of a storied history in game audio. Your first game job was
Spore. Yeah, Spore. Yeah, which is crazy.
Technical music design for Spore.
Well, it didn't start that way, but like I wasn't hired to do that, but it kind of became that by just being around and being able to do it, and then liking the stuff I was doing. So, that pro tip for people that are starting out: just be very good and useful, and you'll get put into places where you can be useful. And that project, I was hired as like an assistant to Kent Jolly, who's the audio director. He had a lot of work he needed to get done to like prepare assets for this procedural music system that they were building. It's very janky. It's like EA's version of Pure Data, and they had all this kind of internal proprietary tech, duct taped together. And I learned it real fast, and was able to get through things really quickly and efficiently of what they wanted. And then I had lots of free time as a result, and I just started making music with their system and learning it. And
what kind of experience did you have going into that?
So I was self-taught, kind of autodidact on programming and audio programming languages. And so at the time, I was just as a kind of a hardcore hobbyist. Maybe if you're out there being a hardcore hobbyist, that's my spirit.
I think we have a couple in the chat.
Yeah, I got some like early eager. Hey, I like your album there, Charles. Anyways, and just making stuff. I was teaching high school as my day job, tutoring for 4 hours a day, and then I get home at like 10 p.m. and I would work until I passed out making crazy stuff, like 2 or 3. I remember I had a roommate and he called it a hobby. He's like, "Man, you got a weird hobby." And I was like, "This is not a hobby." He's like, well, "Okay, dude." I was like, "Yeah, like just like honestly, it was more like a mad scientist. I was like just doing crazy shit, like in the dark to the wee hours of the morning, and then like dragging myself to teaching high school. It was crazy. It was a crazy, but I didn't have a kid at the time. I wasn't married, and I just worked very hard. And then you had the summers off. So I still worked through the summer, but it wasn't like an 8-hour day job and then another set of jobs on top. It was like tutoring for 3 or 4 hours a day. Like and I could like intersperse it with other things. I also lived in coffee shops. That was the other thing, is I would sit with my laptop in a coffee shop because like I didn't like to just be by myself in my apartment. So I lost a lot of hearing with headphones like blaring. I also played trumpet, and playing in a big band that also hurts your hearing.
It's a trombone player right over your shoulder.
Well, usually the trumpets are like, I play in big bands, so the trumpets are usually making everybody in front of them deaf. My issue is I always typically play the jazz chair in a big band, which is traditionally right next to the drums. So my right ear is more deaf than my left because I'm always next to the drummer, and it can get really loud in a big band. And I don't wear protective hearing, and I should, but I don't. Anyways, so anyways, the point is that I was doing crazy stuff, and I was intending to apply to go to graduate school at UC. Or actually, I was applying to a lot of different graduate schools. And
what kind of program were you looking at?
I ended up getting into UC Santa Barbara, working with Curtis Rhodes. But I was looking at I applied to MIT Media Lab, got rejected. I applied to Karma, got rejected. Karma's in Stanford. I applied to UC Berkeley. I really wanted to get into CINMAT, Center for Music and Audio Technology. Got rejected. I did get into Mills College, which was a good school for computer music. I did, so I went there, and I also got into UC Santa Barbara. I also did not apply, but I did apply to UC Santa Cruz, because that's where the David Cope was a professor. He's written a lot of books on algorithmic music, which is what I was really into. Anyways, so I was applying to graduate schools. I went to this summer workshop at UC Berkeley, met a bunch of people who were working on Spore as part of this like conference. It's like they still do them, I think. It's like a Max MSP workshop. And I went to like 2 or 3 in a row in a year, or not in a year, but every year for like 2, for a couple years. And networked. You meet people and you network with them. And some of the people I met were working on Spore, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you come out and check it out? Come on, check out the studio." So UC Berkeley is really close to where Emeryville is, which is where the folks working on Spore were in at the time. And so I had the summer. It was a summer workshop. I had the summers off, so I was like, "Hey, come out and check it out." And I went out.
Tour.
Yes, a little like the way I describe it is like because I'm old. I've already mentioned this. If you're new to the stream, I'm 45. But
he's so old he forgot he already mentioned his age.
Yeah, exactly. Stream. But anyways, I just see people joining, and I have this like urge to catch people up on the conversation.
We've got folks who's look at there.
But anyways, actually, it's interesting to see comments pop up. It's freaking amazing. Anyways, what was I saying?
You're 45.
Oh, the workshop.
Tour.
the Spore tour. So, Mr. Rogers. It felt like a Mr. Rogers like tour. You know, how we would go and like see how the sausage was made in the factory. Anyways, it felt like that. I had no desire to work in video games, although I grew up, playing video games. Of course, Maxis games I played, so it was like, oh, this is where SimCity's made. I was like, but I was trying to play cool. I was trying to be like, oh yeah, cool, But inside, I was like, whoa, that's Will Wright. I don't actually think I saw Will Wright when I went out and visited, but in my mind, I was thinking, this is where Will Wright, walks the halls, And anyway, so I met the audio director there. He didn't actually go to the conference. It was like sound designers and stuff. Andy Lackey was actually there. That's where I met Andy Lackey. Yeah. So Andy Lackey is a huge veteran in games, and he now works with us at Epic. But that's where I met Andy, was at that conference. So that's where we first met.
That's cool.
And he was like, "You got to come out and check out, Spore," and him and a couple other sound designers. Anyway, so we hit it off with the audio director. We hung out, chatting. And I just became friends, and that's it. Went on with my life of insanity of making crazy stuff. And then I was about to apply to graduate school. I sent my application in to Kent, the audio director, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm about to apply to graduate school. Do you have any advice? Or here's my project. Any feedback would be really useful." And I wasn't applying to work there. I was just like, "We met. You are literally the only other person I met in my entire life who knows about algorithmic music. Like, I read books and stuff, but I don't know them. I'm not going to send, David Cope my project because I want to go work with them, so it was like literally the only person I had met. And so I wanted legit feedback on it, and he gave me really great feedback. He actually checked out my project, dug through it, spent time, gave me really great ideas, suggestions on how to structure things. There was all reasonable, advice.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he was like, "Hey, we have a potential, assistant like contract gig that's opening up. I would love to work with you. Do you want to take it?" And I said, "Yes." And that's how I got the job. Like, I literally didn't apply. And in my mind, I didn't want to work at Spore forever. I still wanted to go to graduate school.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's a 6-7 month contract gig. I can take it from, it was like starting in January. I can take that up until when I go to graduate school, and then I'll be golden. And if it works out, maybe I could stay. And they tried to hire me. By they, I mean Kent in the audio team. They actually did want to hire me, and they made a request to EA headquarters, but it was denied. Which, I didn't take it personally, but on my side now, I can see the politics. Is we're steeped in it now. But the head count, the reasoning was, you already have 3 audio programmers. You have a huge audio team. You don't need more audio resources. Sorry. It was the... Right. So anyways, then I went to graduate school, and it was great. Yeah. So I was like a sort of game stint, and then I intended to get a PhD, and I ended up just getting a master's at UCSD.
Classic graduate story.
Yeah. Because it turns out graduate school is expensive, and I was racking up debt. And then I got another job offer in games after 2 years of being in graduate school. That was hard to say no to, because it was like an actual salary. I mean, I was excited when I got like $3,000 for a summer stipend, and I'm like barely able to feed myself.
Did you TA or did you RA?
I TA'd. And I did get about 9 months paid for on a NSF grant, National Science Foundation grant, which is weird. The grant was to do granular synthesis for a National Science Foundation. And that ended up being my master's project, which is this crazy granular synthesis, which we may talk about today.
That'd be awesome.
In general, granular synthesis. But anyway, so that's how I got into games. It's kind of a fun story if you don't know, if you haven't heard it. Some of y'all, this is lore that I've talked about before in other formats, so maybe you've heard the stories.
Well, I think, it's one of those, like first of all, it's awesome to work on such a kind of a legendary product. Like, what, regardless of how you feel about it after it came out, like it like made a big splash in its like promise, and it was a big deal, when it came out.
I'll say this, it was freaking fun to work on it, because I was paid very little. I didn't care about anything. I just was everything, and every day was like a gift at the time. I just couldn't believe. Every day I was just like, I can't believe I can work here.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been chasing that feeling ever since, and I don't think I've yet achieved it, but it was a dream job, basically.
Yeah, it's there is something about that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, just in terms of like the like I don't know if it's something that we always experience when we start out. Like there's a kind of like thrill.
Yeah.
There's a kind of like one sense of wonder. If I
Yeah.
do this, what happens?
Yeah.
There's this sort of like, and that feeds you really early on, and
Yeah.
it's harder to recapture that. I still try to drive
Yeah.
toward that, but it's very difficult to
That's
recapture
one of
that
the
when
things you and I think at Epic, I love working with you because I think you and I can put our brain into that mode, even though
yeah,
like it's like we can put on our like dream hat and then you
yeah,
and I can like start flying and people around us are like getting like freaking out because it's like
yeah,
the like implications of
yeah.
things, you know? Like our other like
They're like
more
trying to map out Jira's, and we're like not
exactly.
paying attention to
It's like
that.
I can see like Phil on the team, he's just like, "Oh my god, no wait, what?" You know, and he can't help
Yeah,
but like make things real, you know? I absolutely can be like, "We're in fantasy land."
yeah.
Although, you know, there's still a hook of like reality still. It's like not
That's
I don't
part of the
like
fun
yeah,
is pathing from reality to fantasy. Like,
yeah,
how
but I
close can we get?
exactly, and, like, kinda finding that edge of, like, you know this is possible, but I don't think anybody's done it before. There's
Yeah,
something really exciting about that liminality.
yeah,
That's why I love being in tech is that you go like, "Well, this is the state of the art, but if we did this,
yeah,
you know, I don't think anybody's done exactly that or, like, that way," you know, and there's something exciting about that, and
yeah.
it's very motivating.
I totally 100% agree. And I think that is what is challenging about that, not just our own sort of like jaded experience, but we're also there's like also like immense pressure to deliver a real
Yeah,
thing, you know. And I think I see so many colleagues who have been in the industry like as long or longer than I have,
yeah,
who seem like I don't know. I feel like they're crushed into a certain degree that they're not looking for that anymore. They're tired, and I worry about them because I feel like there's still that opportunity to capture that
yeah,
it and it's very tech driven, which is why
yeah,
we're here.
yeah. Dude, it's Fuller time.
Oh yeah, hey, look
Fuller
at
join.
this. We got we you're drawing a lot of folks
This is
here.
exciting.
We've got some.
I'm a draw, dude. You gotta get me
That's
on the
right.
show more often.
That's right.
I guess your audio is quiet. It sounds loud to me, but I don't know what the mix is on the stream.
It could just be the like fall off on the pickup, like hello, you know,
Yeah.
like that.
But anyways,
Yeah,
the pressure to ship. I mean, we definitely have shipped a lot of code and features. Like we
yeah,
ship. We don't just dig around and pretend, you know, fantasize. We definitely
yeah,
map or match the dream with hard reality, and boy,
yeah,
is reality hard.
yeah.
like
No,
like we are
yeah,
we suffer on the front lines, you know. I actually I'll say this, it's fascinating to me when I see in the community people are like, you know, they're like, I don't know if UE audio this, by the way, this is just Dan and I hanging out, this is not a Epic thing, you know,
yeah.
but
This isn't official at
this
all.
is like stories of the thing from our perspective. So you see out in the community of like people going like, well, I don't know if it's ready for prime time, and I'm like, I don't know what's more prime time than shipping this stuff on Fortnite. Like I like that. I mean, I don't think people quite understand this. I mean, a lot of our colleagues, and by colleagues I mean in the industry, are not probably playing Fortnite, but we're still getting concurrency numbers that are insane. Like, and we're on
Yeah,
9
it's pretty
platforms,
insane. Yeah,
and like if we were screwing up, like we wouldn't still be here. You know, like
yeah,
like it is a real deal. It's a big business, and we are doing crazy stuff and then shipping it
yeah,
live every couple weeks. And we do. It's not perfect. You know, we're on the. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out, like Metasound pages and all these kind of that are like directly a result
yeah,
of experiences on this thing. But it's not like it's not working. It's like working at scale, like all of it, like the audio render, every feature. It's
yeah,
definitely working at scale. And by scale, I mean not just scale on the audience, but content production scale. You know, like they're churning out content
Oh,
at,
it's
at a high
like
rate.
crazy, like insane. Like it's a fire hose of
Yeah.
content, just nonstop.
But is it
But
perfect? No, there's lots of room for improvement. I'm not saying the tech is perfect,
well,
but it's no tech is, you know.
Well, I think that we're like, so I think to be fair, we like the entire like new whatever you want to call it, the
Yeah.
new audio engine, the new
It's
Unreal
not
Audio
new
Engine,
anymore.
the 10-year-old audio
Yeah.
engine, but like that whole process was under the fire of a live
Yeah.
support product. Like I
Yeah.
think that is an underestimate. Like people don't, I don't think, really
Yeah.
appreciate that from the outside. There
Yeah.
wasn't like some ivory tower moment where it's like, oh, we have 3 years to work on this before anyone cares
Yeah.
about this.
No.
No, it's just like,
Even MetaSounds.
yeah,
It's not we have been supporting a live product the entire development of everything.
yeah,
Like Fortnite blew up in 2017 and it has not stopped. In fact, the last Christmas was the largest release in its history.
yeah,
So it's still a huge game. Anyways, point is you kind of get this feeling like it's exciting and pushing the boundaries in certain areas and it's cool, but it's also very practical.
yeah,
Kind of you have to marry the two things.
yeah.
Anyways,
I
we're just
totally agree.
pontificating.
Yeah.
By the way,
Well,
I'm
but
drinking wine on here, so this
I
will get spicy. I don't know. I don't really
I
have a
have
time limit either. I know
I
this goes
have
to 8, but we can go longer if you want.
Hank's gourmet root beer.
Nice. Got to spike that.
I don't drink. It's just
Yeah, I know.
it's,
I know.
but
Actually, the fact that you don't drink probably saved me when we were hanging out in New Orleans at one
yes, I
UE
think it
Fest.
did.
I got one too many. Okay, maybe 4 or 5 too many, and I literally blacked out. And Dan, I didn't like pass out on the street, but the next morning I was like, I don't remember what I did last night. And Dan's like, oh, let me tell you. Like he like narrated what we had done, and
Yeah.
hilariously, I remember Dan telling me because I don't remember the experience. We went and got the beignets
Yeah.
down in New Orleans. This like what one of the famous places to get beignets, and I remember Dan told me that I complained about it very
Yeah,
loudly.
you did.
And then the next day we went sober, and then we were like, I was like, I want the beignet because I had forgotten that I'd already, like hated them, and I apparently started ranting in exactly the same way that I had ranted while drunk. And he's like, you said exactly the same thing yesterday. I was like, well, at least I'm consistent.
That's true.
Anyways,
Yeah,
so it's good to have you around.
Yeah, that's right. I'm like tape recorder.
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
but yeah,
yeah, I think going. I just want to. I think that because this is actually I was in a LinkedIn thread earlier this week that someone was, it's hard to find a job right now, especially if you're a
yeah,
junior, if you're just breaking in, you're just starting out. It's like really difficult. Like it's just a rough time. And
yes,
one thing that I talk to like because I work with a lot of folks who are trying to break in, and one thing that I try to explain, which is not obvious when you're breaking in, but kind of makes sense if you think about it logistically, which is there's a sort of a cost of investment proposition with a
yep,
headcount, and there really is almost no desire for anything but like a senior headcount for the most part. What happens is anytime you see a junior headcount, it's that company is kind of like looking to invest in someone
yeah,
because the junior is not going to be returning that investment the first couple years, maybe first year, maybe the first sort of incremental part of that that career build. But the proposition is that they will be trained in all your stuff. They will know all of all the
yeah.
processes, procedures. They'll sort of they'll learn the way that your company does things.
I would agree with that, but also juniors are often treated as people to do the kind of work that more senior people either don't want to do or is probably not a great use of their time
Yeah.
because there's like a cost proposition. Like for example, my gig when I started my entry level thing was like an assistant to like do a bunch of grunt work because
Right.
it hadn't been automated, but like to automate it would be expensive. Like to get a programmer to build a system out, it's like 2 weeks of this programmer's time. That's more expensive than 6 months of a junior salary.
Right.
Like you kind of do the cost or like
No,
opportunity cost. And so
absolutely. But
there's that too.
but a lot of times those kinds of jobs these days are taken up by contractors.
Yes, that's true. That's a really good point.
So
But
when
contractors are
someone's looking,
also can be really
they
expensive.
can be expensive, especially if you have to onboard them with some complicated procedure or something like that. Like like training a contractor is a problem because
Yeah.
you lose all of that, like the talent that you've built up there. But that's and so anyways, that's what I feel of this that investment, that training investment, all of that
I
sort of
agree with that.
stuff is about building this person up. And you shouldn't stay a junior. Like it's actually a
Yeah.
problem if you stay a junior for a while. That's and if you're in a place where you're staying a junior, like maybe you want to look at leaving.
So we actually at Epic, when we hire interns, they're expected to. So there's like a leveling system. So level 1 is like an intern, and so you can't stay at level 1. We wouldn't hire you at a level. No one gets hired at level 1 at Epic.
Yeah.
Level 2 is like junior, and junior level 2. The expectation is that you move out of that to a level 3 within like a year or 2 years. Like if you're at level 2 for a long time, then that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
You can't have a career at level. You can't be a career level 2 at Epic,
Yeah.
and I think that's common in tech companies. It's like
I would agree.
I've been a 20-year junior. Like no, there's something wrong there.
Yes,
Like
that's right.
yeah,
That's the caveat. Is
yeah,
like there may be some exploitation
yeah.
going on where they're sort of
Yes.
keeping you.
It's
keeping you
in
that
both
space.
ways. It's either the person is like not like they're just hanging around, and
Yeah.
it's in the you know what I mean? Like you're not
Like
advancing,
you're not sort of.
or the company's taking advantage, and you are actually doing work higher than a level 2,
Mhm.
but they refuse to promote you. Both of those are bad situations. So there should be no career level 2s.
Yeah.
Level 3 at Epic can be a career position.
Yeah.
That's like mid-level, and you can park there for a while. It's not one of those things you probably want as an aspiration, but if you have a solid level 3, then
Yeah.
like that's good.
Yeah.
That means you're trusted to do work, and you don't need lots of oversight every that kind of a thing. It's
Yeah.
like this. It's like the soldier rank. But anyways, you need your soldiers.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, just kind of rewinding
Corporate
back to this.
politics.
Yeah. Well, I think that's sort of the obfuscated thing that people coming in, people starting out, they don't really see that.
Yeah.
And it can be very confusing. You apply to X number of jobs. I've applied so many jobs and I don't get callbacks, or I get
Yeah.
rejected or whatever. Or you go into so many interviews. Like anytime you advance through the process, like the hiring process, it's good feedback. It's not useful necessarily all the time, but it is positive feedback. If you get to an interview, that's positive feedback to everything that led up to that.
Even if you didn't get an interview, I wouldn't take that as personal. It's like
No, absolutely
it's
not.
hard. So the because we just got done hiring for a programming position,
Yeah.
and I looked at freaking I was one of the hiring manager screeners for it,
Mhm.
and we had like crazy applications of amazing programmers coming in, and I got pinged from folks, and they're like, "Hey, should I do this?" And I would be like, you're not going to make it through even just the application pool because it's like crazy. I don't know. It's the industry. I've never seen anything like it, frankly. So something about the industry. There's not a lot of jobs open. So like you get one open, and it like everybody and their brother seems to want to apply to it. So there's that. And then of the ones that I went and screened, they were all next level, and I screened a lot. It was like 10 people I screened, and we only went to 3 for interview. And of the 3, they were all phenomenal. So it was like it was. I actually lost sleep over who we ended up hiring. I was like, oh man, I want to hire all of them, but like we only have one account. Like it's like really depressing. So now, like it's hard. Hiring is difficult.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So just don't. So in other words, don't take it personally if you
Yeah.
don't get the gig. It's like it can be the tiniest sliver of a difference of somebody on the hiring panel. There's no. Don't take it personally.
Yeah,
I've been rejected from so many things.
Absolutely, it's not worth being dissuaded by that process.
Yeah.
And also, I think back to the original, Spore story. That I think it's really important to do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
And don't wait for anyone to give you permission to do it.
Yeah, that's a
just
good point.
Fill, your portfolio, your reel, or whatever you're building up. Your material, your senior project, whatever it is, do the thing that you want to do. I think there's a sort of concern when you start to get rejection. You're like, am I not presenting myself the way I need to be, or am I not?
Yeah.
Do I need to like conform to something? And I think that's dangerous because you get into a situation where you're going to you could land a job that you're not going to like.
Yeah.
It's that is
Yeah.
just sad times.
Yeah. Or, I don't know, it's a balance because maybe you have to do the job you don't like for a bit. I would say it's better to
For
do
the
it
credit, maybe.
or just to survive, to eat. Don't be a starving. My advice is don't be a starving
Oh
artist.
no,
Get a freaking job. But I will say, avoid getting a job close to your dream job, or like I don't know. That's kind of what my job is. My dream job is not what I'm doing now. But like, anyways, avoid getting close to it, but not it. Like QA, you know, uh, because you can do QA. It's fine, but it can be a trap, is what I'm saying. So it's better, in my opinion, to maybe get an unrelated job and survive and work on a portfolio and skill set, and meet people.
Yeah,
That's
I think so what I have suggested to folks is get a job that makes your ends meet,
yeah.
where you have time
Yes.
to work on the thing you want to work on. And that's a challenge. That could be the hard part. But like
teaching high school is not really a good job for that. I had almost no time.
Yeah, like that's
except for the summer.
Yeah,
the summer is an exception, but during the day, during the
and that's a challenging balance there. Like I had a job that I could meet. Like when I was starting out, I took all kinds of jobs. I was doing temp work and stuff like that. But whatever I could sort of squeeze in to maximize my outside work time.
Anyways, we could just talk about ourselves all night. But one of the things I can segue because Dan pinged me. He goes, I have stuff. We can talk about the Granulator and UE, but I would like to kind of segue to the thing that Dan had suggested. He had pinged me and he's like, yeah, so I was thinking we could chat about this, what's it called? Strudel, but this thing that's built behind. Anyways, he's like, hey, I want to try this out. And I was like, what the hell is that? And he's like, oh, it's this crazy audio programming language. And so I was like, oh, really? Another one of those? And earlier today, we were kind of messing around with it. And I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. And so then we're spitballing this afternoon. And we're like, hey, we could do a whole seg thing on, audio programming languages. There's a whole ton of them. I've got a lot of experience in a bunch of them, but this is a new one, and there's tons of them that I don't have experience in, and it's kind of fun. And it was kind of, I think it would be compelling to watch Dan and I trying to figure this thing out because we have no idea how it works.
It could be hilarious.
It could be hilarious. And so we were kind of messing with it earlier, and I was cracking myself, and Dan was cracking me up. I was like laughing. I was like, this is going to be great. So kind of like told us to stop so we could do it live. But anyways, you want to set it up, Dan?
Yeah. But
I kind of set it up, but
there is another thing that I would, if we have time, it would be fun for me to just sort of share, which is the distance fields thing. But
what's the distance field?
Well, that's the thing I haven't shown you yet.
Oh,
yeah, you worked on the weekend. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah, and I can tear it apart.
That's right. Yeah, thanks.
I like to destroy Dan's sense of self-esteem.
That's right. This is why we bring him on. That's what we're doing here. Okay. Okay, let's go to here. Yeah, so there's a link in the video description. You should see it. But yeah, basically it's Strudel. It's named after a pastry. It's a port of Tidal Cycles, which I haven't heard of. Tidal Cycles is apparently a wrapper around SuperCollider.
Yeah, it's like a chain of technology. Apparently,
it's wrapped around wrapped. Wrappers around wrappers. I maybe that's why it's called Strudel.
Oh, that's interesting. But it uses OSC as the back end. That's what it said. Integrate your existing music setup. So you can theoretically, this could go straight somehow to Metasounds. I guess I don't know. The point is
somehow
you'd have to create a thing that like. Anyways, the point is that this is a thing that constructs OSC messages.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
And yeah, so it's got its own little library. I honestly have only spent maybe cumulative like 10 minutes in this. So
Yeah, and
it's super early.
and me less. So
Yeah.
but we're having fun.
Yeah.
We're not going to really go deep on this. This is not a
No.
tutorial. This is us stumbling through a thing that we literally have just found out about it, and Dan thought it would be a compelling thing to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, at least to share
Our reaction
for people to mess around with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I have a like bass drum phrase, and then it pulls samples from a particular bank, and so this
Now,
BD is.
as a programmer, I'm immediately going, who has defined BD to mean anything? What is TR901? Where's the assets hooked up? You know,
Yeah.
I have literally a million. So if you click the sounds, maybe that shows. There you go.
Yeah. So here's all the banks.
Yeah.
And then we
Some
got to
insane
search. It's like yeah. TR909. So
can you click those things?
But yeah, I'm trying to find my bank. I gotta find my bank among the list here. Yeah, okay. So I assume it's this.
I see. And BD, it probably has some
BD
name parsing things.
is the sound reference.
You click
Yeah,
that? Does it play or something? Yes.
All right.
I had predicted that this thing, which is really freaking slick, that somebody would do that. Hell yeah. I'm proud because I predicted it would play, and I'm just saying it's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah. So
and so it's probably based on some kind of parsing.
Yeah, some
naming
sort of
convention, and I bet you can import your own and then come up with your own. You know, be like bank name underscore and then some short version. Which
so
is
the
really
the tilde I've learned is a rest. So if we play this,
hell yeah,
got a little beat going, and I can add. It's live update, which is the interesting part. I can add gain, so I could do like
what is
half
deck?
gain.
What is deck?
Don't know. Don't know. I haven't learned that one.
Change it. Let's see if we can figure out what it by you.
Well,
oh, that's the other thing too, is that it's live. So as you change it, it's updates, which is slick.
Yeah. So here, if I do like 1.5 update,
like that's so cool.
Yeah.
So hit deck. My feeling is that it's decrement, maybe, or debt.
Well, let me bring this
maybe
back.
it's a temp. Maybe that's what defines the tempo.
No. Whoa. Maybe. Let me go. Okay, let's just. What do you want me to do? Like 8.2.
0.8. Yeah.
I can't tell.
Yeah. No changes. What?
Yeah. I don't know what it does.
Dead Mouse wouldn't know anything about this.
Decay?
Oh, decay, maybe. Oh, that's like maybe applying an envelope. Who knows?
I'm not sure.
Anyways,
it's like Matrix meets Ableton. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they also have this. They also have visualizations, which I haven't figured out how to do. But there's like ways to do like visualizations of the audio and stuff, and then they appear on screen. Yeah. Anyway, so the tildes are rests for the pattern.
I love how it lights up the little visualization.
It's cool.
And I wish my code danced somehow when I was writing code in Visual Studio.
So we could do something like this, and then the angle brackets.
How did you learn this angle bracket thing, by the way?
By the example, by looking at an example. This actually looks like it's parsing it wrong. I might.
Oh, get rid of the
it's the quotes. Sorry, there we go. That was it. Oh, this is on the wrong side. There we go. There we go.
It's like processing. Sorry, Cody said it's reminiscent of processing. By the way, I did a lot of coding with processing back in the day. It's like that if processing was like a rave. If you're like, like I wish processing code like this, but it's like processing in the sense that there's like a little like text entry thing. There's like a web. I guess processing can work on the web too.
Okay, I'm just sort of.
All right, I think you're mesmerizing, Brian.
Okay, we'll see what happens then. Let me update.
All right, here we go. Oh, you broke it.
I broke it.
Oh.
Oh, it's I need to do because I've added steps. So.
Oh, right. That was the other thing, is that the things in the parentheses Dan derived is like within one bar. So if you add more things, it gets. Oh wait, that would make it.
Let me do 4.
I think you really messed it up.
No, what it is it's moving between these. So it's going to select one from here, and then it's going to select one from this angle bracket, and then
it's like some kind of weird, distributive property of patterns.
Yes.
Anyways,
get rid of some of these, and you
should get the hi-hat line going. We were messing with that earlier. This is the worst beat ever.
I mean, I could do like
you could do some interpretive dancing.
We could do this. Just 4 on the floor, right? Go. Very simple.
I don't know. It's more like 3 on the floor.
And then
we gotta get that snare drum in there.
Well, yeah. So here's the interesting about the snare drum. So I go a snare drum, and then I have a clap. But then what I do is I go the rest snare, rest clap, and then the room, which is room, is the verb. I go 0 0 0 1, so it gives verb on the clap.
That's crazy. This is insane. There's like a delay on the snare drum. You hear that? On the right channel.
No. What I have is, you see on the
it's the snare drum on the second line. No.
Oh, yeah,
right. Snare drum in the second. For some reason, it's like pan to the right. Oh, it's because you have the pan.
Because I have a pan, and so what the pan does is it's going to do center, right, center. Wait. Oh, sorry. It's left, right, left, center. That's what I have set up as. So 0 is left and 1 is right.
So now we need deadmau5 to come in. This is where deadmau5 needs to show up.
Fat saw wave.
Yeah.
Offset.
I want to see his next album made with this.
Made exactly just with this.
Just with this.
Just with this.
Everyone
it's just a link.
It's just a link. His album's a link. Love that. Charles, this is your next album.
That's right.
So Charles released an album on what was the platform?
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp of Metasounds album on Metasounds. I can't
believe you forgot about Bandcamp.
Well, Anyways, so plug in Charles's album. But the point is, your next album should be here. It's with Strudel.
Yeah, definitely. Square brackets subdivide the rhythm.
Yes.
Don't they? Yes.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the square brackets, but also you can multiply and divide. So if you divide, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. What I want to do is just sort of like throw it out in the community. If you want to play around with it, it'd be awesome. I think this is kind of fun to play around with just in general. It's fun to have new toys.
So Dan and I were talking about this, and I was like, "Hey Dan, do you remember ByteBeat?"
I remember it now after you showed me, but yeah. That was.
Anybody in our audience, you guys know ByteBeat? You ever hear that? It was kind of like a rage, like 15 years ago, or maybe 12 years ago. It was before I was that epic. I mean, it's been around for a while, but it's weird. ByteBeat is a weird thing. So I'll explain it. So someone somewhere, I don't remember who, kind of just came up with a new way to make sound in the simplest possible way. It kind of, I think it comes from the demo scene or something like it. And it's like, what's the minimal amount of code to like make synthesis and make music? And so ByteBeats came out of that. And what it is you in like raw C, you make a incrementing integer at some rate, and then you basically just write that integer through various bit and byte operations into a buffer that then that then you just output to a wave file. Like in Linux, you can kind of like pipe it down, and then there's like little utilities that you can just like write straight into a PCM buffer, and then you play it back. And so it started with that. It's like literally like, hey, I wrote this crazy epic piece of music in 70 bytes of code or something, some insane small number of memory.
But that also sounds like it started with like a memory stomp. You're just like, you gotta you're
like sonifying a memory.
Actually ran over some like uninitialized memory in your audio buffer, and it's just like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and so it got really popular. If you do a YouTube search for like ByteBeat, I'll share my screen, but if you YouTube ByteBeat, you'll see this here we go, ByteBeat covers. Let's see. Oh wait, that's not it. I'm not going to share my screen. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So I'll share this.
Do you want me to share?
All right. So yeah, I guess. All right. So I'll share my
setup.
Yeah, we'll go back to the.
You gotta hide all the emails.
All right. So here we go. So I think I'm sharing safe.
Oh, right. That's right. You haven't even. Yeah. Okay. There we go. You good?
All right. Yeah. So anyways, I'm not going to play this video, but just Ultimate Video Guide to ByteBeat. So I'll play a little bit of it, but this insane thing, and people made visualizations off it. Can you guys hear that?
No.
Can you hear it, Dan?
Did you forget to do the share?
I mean, maybe.
Here,
I'll stop.
Here. Yeah.
I'll reshare. I barely understand.
It is almost exactly like a Zoom call.
Yes. I also don't really know how to use technology. This is something that everyone. All right,
the dark secret.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. So this is a crazy visualization. Ignore my YouTube thing over here. Here we go. Theater mode. So this is like, I guess, a robot explaining how it works. But anyways, I can just show you.
All byte, no beat.
Yeah, all byte, no beat. So I'll go over here. It says this composer I found. This is what the syntax looks like. T is your incrementing like variable. So think of T as like a forever accumulating time value of integers. And then you basically just perform byte operations. So this is like a bit shift. This is a bit OR, another bit OR. And it produces basically repeating patterns. You get, like, mathematically, it's kind of like, modulus math to the extreme. And so if I push play on here, you'll see where. There we go. And this is the, I guess, visualization of the data. So you can see the repetition here. You can start messing with it. I think most of these things have you can like write it. So if I do like 4. You can kind of just experiment. And you can be like, so it's insane. So I got how do I stop this shit? All right, so I got really into it about 12 years ago, and I was like making whole compositions, because once you start really breaking it down, you can take advantage and actually start composing. And the cool thing, so this is maybe you can share this link.
Yeah, that link's in the video description.
So on the right here, actually, it's like a little place where you can browse people's music. So this is freaking awesome. This whole.
This is really neat.
And listen to that. Look, it's got a whole chord progression, and this is the entire piece of music in this like.
That's wild.
It's crazy. I love this. There's something about it that just. So I have a fantasy thing that I want to try to do in Metasounds. If you're listening, and you want to make a Metasound node, something that takes a string that you can just type it in and then parse it, and then outputs in Metasound would be freaking awesome. I want to do it. It's just time to do it. But like this you could totally do this.
With node configuration. It would be pretty easy.
Put in a string into node config.
The trick would be just parsing all the.
Yeah, you'd have to write the parser.
Yeah,
but it's not that hard.
No.
Anyways,
that would be really cool. Yeah.
So let's see. Figure these. Look at that. So made a chord.
Wild.
That's actually cool. It's a float modulo.
Oh, inversions.
I mean, there's some deep math in this shit. Look at this one. Oh my god. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Yes. Here we go. So you can do your sine operations, and it's just this t param is just constantly incrementing, and this one's less exciting to me because you're like, okay, it's just additive.
But there could be something to learn from this with like the different tonalities and stuff like that.
But I think and it's obviously relatively straightforward. So like, here we go. That's cool.
That's it's impressively long, actually. Is it?
Yeah, so the thing is that you can get long form compositional by dividing T, right? So if you divide T, truncate it, and then that can be a lookup into an array. So you get what I'm trying to say? So you have a slowly thing, and then it's like slowly over a long period you get 0, then 1, then 2. So there's a lot of tricks if you break these down. Like what's this? Koto, Joto, Hoto. So there we go. So someone's taking the integer value of these letters, and that becomes their composition. Like, that's freaking awesome, Like, anyways, this is the kind of stuff that just gives me great pleasure. I love it. I got really into it a couple years ago. Ooh, look at that. Get your love it. We can totally mess with it. Let's do there we go. Oh yeah. Now this would be cool if you could actually like feed this through some effects chain to like my point though is that to like do an actual show and get really good at this and just start messing with math. Like start it from scratch and have a whole sequence. Ooh. Let's do 128.
What's the integer size? What the?
It goes on forever. Not forever. Obviously, it'll wrap, but I don't remember what the actual. Maybe 32-bit, 64-bit.
Wow. Yeah.
That's cool. Original 1B. Here we go. So what this is actually another interesting. Here, I'll pause this so I can think. All right, so what this is doing, it's just regular T. The reason why it's a tone is that it does wrap around. Because it's getting truncated. So
you get a cycle.
Yes, so it is constantly incrementing, but it does because it's getting integer overflow essentially, and then this down here changes the sample rate. That's what I just realized. So if you go like this. Forward and backward, that's actually kind of cool. And then you can change the... Oh, that's the visual. Oh yeah, this is the integer value right here. That's on the integer right here.
Okay.
You can see now it's going forward. Oh yeah, you can probably just set it to 0. Backwards. Yeah, so that's T, and then you can see it feeding. And then here's where
looks like maybe
that's the sample rate. And I guess if these, yeah, each of these I think have. Anyways,
Yeah,
Very cool.
that is very cool.
I'm not looking at the stream anymore, so I don't know what
Do
people.
you want me to switch back to?
Yeah, so we could. So I
Here,
was googling.
you're not sharing anymore, so that you can.
Oh, okay.
You can
So one of the other. So I guess I'll go back. So what did people think of that? Like, we can just ask the audience. What did?
Well, Spencer says they haven't had their mind blown like this in a while.
Yeah, when I first learned about ByteBeat, I was like, oh my god. Yeah. So
Cody's ready for Kima.
we're gonna fire up. Yes. Yes. I never actually used Kima that much, or Kaima, because it's like so expensive to use. Sounds like an early Sega console. Instant. Okay,
Yeah.
Harmony, Holy Buckets. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like in the old, like Fuller mentioned, this sound like early, like consoles.
Yeah.
For a reason, those early chips had limited capability and memory, and so it literally had to be so constrained. But I love the idea of that kind of like constraint coming out, and the idea of maybe someday that being something in meta sounds is very appealing to me, because there's something cool about this like state of the art, procedural rendering system, and it's like just making crazy low byte, music stuff. Anyways.
Yeah, you have. Well, it's like you said before. Like, it'd be cool to like then process it and see what kind of mangling you can do after.
Yeah, exactly.
After the fact. It also seems like an interesting, just to mess around and make some cool sounds, even if it's not like you're aiming for music or something like that.
It's also just fascinating. Like if you're a music nerd, the idea that just like modulo math and various bit operations can produce such rich sound is, I don't know, it hits me in my human math creative brain in a nice spot. Like it sits in my brain in a spot that I find to be very pleasurable.
Yeah.
Anyways, so there's a couple other languages we can talk about, right?
Yeah.
Another one. Have you guys ever heard of or used Chuck? Have you ever used Chuck, Dan?
I've only heard. I originally heard about it because I used to work with a bunch of folks who went to school at CalArts and went through their sort of music arts program.
So CalArts. So Gawain created it at Cornell, I think. Let me look it up. I think he was at Cornell. Gawain Chuck. So Gawain is a very well-respected innovator, and I think he's the guy that made started the Princeton, maybe he started at Princeton. The laptop orchestra is a Stanford laptop orchestra, and he started one in Princeton. And he's a co-founder of Smule. You guys know Smule? It's like a iPhone company.
It's like a ID company, right? Like a music ID.
No, Smule does. When the iOS first came out, they had one of the first like viral music apps, and it was a ocarina. Remember, it was like you could blow on the iPhone, and it was like a little ocarina, or you could blow on. You remember that in the old days?
I remember the old days of the iPhone. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and it was like a Wild West, and somebody made an ocarina. Yeah. So he made this ocarina thing. Anyways, he's now at Stanford's Karma.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Which is
because he used to teach at CalArts, right? That was the case.
I don't think he was at CalArts,
or maybe just CalArts used Chuck for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, Chuck got really popular in some schools.
Yeah,
I think it was at Princeton that he made Chuck, the first version of it. I'm looking at his Wikipedia page. Anyways, point is he's really cool. I actually met him when I first started working at Epic, like a long time ago. And this is actually it's an interesting story. So before we talk about Chuck, I do have a patch I want to show. I wrote like 8 years ago, but I met Gawain in a Zoom call, or it was like pre-Zoom. Maybe it was Google Chat or whatever, Google whatever the hell it was called.
Hangouts, I think.
Yeah,
or Skype. Remember? Skype?
No, it was definitely Google. Anyways, and I had met Ethan Geller. Do you remember Ethan? Ethan was our first, or besides me, he was the second audio programmer that started at Epic. He's no longer with us. He's now at
He's alive.
He's alive. I mean, he's not at Epic. He's at Valve. Anyways, Ethan's a great guy. But before he worked at Epic, he was an intern at Sony, and I had
Right.
like chatted with him through like developer support, and we were, like you can kind of even through dev support messages, you're like, it's a kindred spirit. He's a cool dude. Like it was actually one of those things. By the way, pro tip, anybody listening, it's human beings on the other side of dev support requests, either on Discord or if you're signing up to get official support and you're talking with somebody on the other side, like it's a human, and time is hard to get and we don't know all the answers and sorry, but like
Sorry.
approach it like a collaborative experience. Like, hey, like this thing versus like, Karen demanding a refund or whatever. It's like, it's especially at Epic, like all of the devs do direct support, Anyways, so this was a good experience, and Ethan, we kind of became friends. And then he sends me a message. He's like, hey, one of my professors, because Ethan went to Karma. He's like, one of my professors wants to do a thing in Unreal Engine, and I was trying to give him some tips, and he wants to like figure out how to get Chuck to work in Unreal. And this is like 9 years ago, or like it was like way before the audio mixer. And so I get on this call with Goang, and he's like really impatient. He's like, I tried Unreal Engine, and it's like, freaking, I can't make any sense of it. Like, how do I? He's like, just tell me how to generate a sine tone. If I can just write my own sine tone, I can get Chuck to work. Like, and he was like, he didn't say it that way, but it was like, that was the vibe. And I was like, oh, well, and I started explaining, you could do this, you could make a procedural sound source, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I don't care, just show, like, this is too complicated. Then he like left, and then, so he's like, fuck this, I'm not going to do this. So anyways, years later, when I was writing the audio mixer on our talk on 2017 that Dan and I were on, where it was like the future of audio and Unreal Engine, there's a moment where I do a live stage demo of a sine tone synthesizer. It's like a Hello World live. I show the code, I compile it, I do a hot load. That's all real live. If you go back and watch that. And in my mind on stage, I'm thinking of that meeting with Goang where he just wanted to do a sine tone. I'm like, I didn't say this. I thought about saying it. I was going to say, Goang, here's your sine tone, like here's where you write your sine tone, red carpet, my friend. And I actually met him again in person after that. And I told him this story and I said, you remember that meeting? He's like, I don't remember that meeting. And I was like, well, I made a sine tone for you. Like, it's really easy to write one, like, and that was even more trivial with MetaSense. Anyway, so the point is Chuck for me got a special place in my heart. And for years I had known about it, but I didn't know I hadn't taken it seriously. I hadn't gotten deep in it. So I took an online class taught by Perry Cook, who's also well known. He's a book on procedural audio and games. By the way, this is funny to me. Perry Cook is a professor at Stanford, or he was for a while. I don't know if he still is. And he was at SMUL. Anyways, he writes this book, which is hilarious. This happens a lot, by the way, where someone like procedural sound design for games. And it's like a whole book, and it's never ever shipped in a game, like, and it's like clearly aspirational, it's like an aspirational book, no one is doing that. And so anyways, I met Perry Cook too, and I was like, hey, I'm on the inside of games, and I'm trying to do the thing that's in your book and make it happen. And he's like, cool. Like, okay, never mind. Anyway, someday we'll chat. You'll get what I mean. Yeah. Anyways, so Perry Cook, if you ever listen to this, which I highly doubt he will, but if he does, my emails are open. Come and chat. We can get your do a version 2 of your book with MetaSense. Yeah. Anyways, so I took his online course. Goang, it was like a cadence. You guys ever heard of cadence? Anyways, it's like one of those like Mocha massive online course MOOC. Anyways,
yeah, MOOC, MOOC, yeah.
Anyway, so I took that, and it was fascinating because like you're like with other people taking the class, and it's like people, and that you share your compositions with each other in this sort of thing. And I'm listening to the other compositions, and they're like what you would expect for people that don't know about procedural music making stuff, and you're like, oh my god. So but it actually got me off the ground, and I was kind of fascinated. I love thinking about teaching as a thing in general. So anyways, I made a composition from this class, and then I just dropped out. I never finished it because it's an online course, whatever. I paid $50 to take it. I was like, but I submitted this piece that I want to show you guys to this MOOC thing, and there's like a guy who's a real person who judges things, he like grades your work, and it was like the assignment was like, make a melody. And I submitted this thing, which I will walk through briefly for you guys. I'll kind of show you the how it looks in Chuck. And it was like a counterpoint generator, procedural, thing. There's a whole composition. I submitted it, and I tried to get it to run earlier today. I found the old script, but Chuck has up. I downloaded the latest version of Chuck, and it's updated, so the thing doesn't seem to make sound anymore. But I'll show you the script, and I have a recording of one of the outputs. I'll play you. But just imagine, like, for one of these online courses, right? Someone submits a thing, and it's like a whole what I'll play for you, and he was like, he gave me a bad grade. I just want to say he gave me a bad grade because I didn't like hit the parameters of the assignment quite correctly.
Yeah.
He's like,
I know exactly why.
He's like, like C. Like it was like hilarious. I was like, okay, dude. Anyways, but I had like got enough of my feeling of Chuck that I wasn't motivated to keep going. And I looked at the curriculum and I was like, I was already way past it. So, anyways, but the point is, it was a fun experience, and then I moved on. I haven't worked on Chuck since then. But that's really funny. It is a very fascinating language. I got a lot of really, I think actually, I would say triggers in Metasound, the sample accurate triggers, are very different than Chuck. But one thing that Chuck has, which is really cool, is, and if you look it up here, actually, do you want to share my?
You ready?
Yeah. Did I? I haven't shared it yet, have I?
No, you have your screen up. I'm just asking.
Okay.
If you want it.
Yeah, I'm ready. You can flip it over. So this is Chuck. One of the fascinating things about Chuck, see if I can find it here. So if you go, it's like Chuck.Stanford here. They often, I don't see it here, but one of the things that I really appreciated is that they always describe it as, quote, strongly timed.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for it is that you can get down to the individual sample with their little like coroutine language element. Anyway, so you can download it here. You get this sort of mini article. It's like a dev environment. And chuggins, which are like Chuck plugins. It's a really whimsical language, by the way. Like their coroutines are called shreds, which I think is awesome. So, all right. So let me, oh man, I thought, here we go. Point counter. So
this is Chuck.
Yeah, so this is Chuck. Yeah. So this is, if you download it, you get this thing called mini article. So look at, I wrote this. This is because it was a submission for a course. So, I documented it. Oh, actually 7.7, not too, it was like almost, so 20. Wow. It's almost 10 years ago.
So you took it while you were at Epic?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was like a year.
That was like right before I started.
I think I was motivated.
That was a year before I started.
I think I took this after I had that meeting with Going, and I was like, I need to finally learn Chuck. Anyways, so I was like, this piece explores various techniques for creating synthesis in Chuck and includes custom solutions for LFOs, DB-based envelopes, polyphony, and multi-channel UGen graphs. It's a hand rolled, a seedable random. Oh, there's a lot of stuff at the time that was missing in Chuck. I don't know if I haven't looked like literally in 10 years, but there wasn't a random class that you could seed. So I wrote it from scratch because there's like it's like a little language here. And I also wrote a little modal melody generator and a species one style counterpoint generator for harmony creation.
just the idea that you got a C on this, the like Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yes, I got a bad grade on this in this online course. Here the piece longer from 30 seconds. Just change this pan. So I like hard coded it for look at 500 seconds. So I think when I first did this, it was at 30 seconds. Anyway, so I'll just show you. I'm not going to explain all this stuff, but here's a C style seedable random generator. I literally ripped this off of C standard lib.
It does look very C-like. I mean, there's obviously a lot of decorations that aren't C-like, but
so there's
I see the curly brackets. I see functions.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird syntax. Like this assignment operator is this arrow thing. So things go from
on the right side.
Yeah, things go from left to right, which is weird. Which it kind of makes sense. That's how you read, but most programming languages go from right to left on assignment. But this is like generate a random number and assign it to seed, right? And then I take seed and assign it to hold rand, and then fun is for function. Which, by the way, fun is like this is totally superfluous. Like, why do you need to say fun? Yeah. But my feeling is that I like typing the word fun a lot. It's sort of a subconscious thing. Because I'm like, I'm having fun, right? Anyways, so you can see how it looks. There's a math library with different utilities and things. Anyways, you go scroll through this. This is really boring. We're not gonna talk about it. But anyways, that's a random class. Oh, I also added shit because I can. Coin. Look at that. Boom. Little coin flipper.
Yeah, little coin flipper.
And here's a weighted index, so you can give it a weighted array. So it's like, might as well start doing cool stuff, right?
Anyways, that's all under your seeded class or whatever.
Yeah. So you could set your seed.
Is it class?
This is all public too. It's like this. It's not C++, so this is public.
Right.
Anyways, then you can go to LFOs. So here's my little parameter LFO oscillator class I wrote. These are the types. Nice and clean code. Look at this code. It's so clean.
It is well documented.
Because it's for a course. I'm getting judged.
That's right.
Like, I'm like, I gotta do my best here. So anyways, and then here's the update function, which of course this is, by the way, just like a raw class. So I'm gonna expect to call update on this to get my LFO values.
Right.
But here's all the stuff. Is it going?
It doesn't have it didn't have like interfaces or anything like that.
No, I mean it does. It has base classes and stuff. So here's
extends. Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's how you can get synthesis. And for some reason, this isn't working. I have to... Originally, Chug Graph, I got a compile error when I tried to compile this. It used to be called Chub Graph, which I loved. I don't know why they called it Chug Graph. Saying Chub Graph is freaking awesome. It's like Chubby Graph. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, I changed it, so I got to change it to this to compile, but it still isn't making sound. Anyway, so this is how you hook up, which I love, by the way, your DSP signal flow.
Yeah,
so
nice.
You take your oscillator, feed it, and it's really nice. Yeah, your oscillator.
Maybe that's where the sort of assignment direction.
Yeah, it kind of absolutely. So you can kind of see the signal flow, and then you're like, that goes to the outlet, and then this goes to I forget what G is. Gain? I don't know. Yeah, gain maybe.
Yeah.
And then
here's my gain G at the top there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. So you can see gain G, and then this is the thing that modulates gain. Yeah. Okay.
And you're so just real quick, you're also declaring them, right? Like you're instantiating them there, or is that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like this is basically your Medicine graph, if you think of the analogy.
That's really cool.
And then these are just various logics that you hook up.
By the way, I do want to insert all audio is graphs, even your DAW. Even your recording console.
That's right. Audio is fundamentally graph oriented. Yeah. Anyways, so you can see, look at this M2. Everything has a MIDI to float, by the way. This is like such a universal thing. So this takes a MIDI value and converts it to frequency.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, so here's the update function on this synth voice. Oh, the other thing too, compositionally, this is a single voice in the graph, and so this is like a note plays, and then this is how you kind of manage playing that note. And then I have another thing which wraps it, which has basically a little polyphony manager. So this is like one voice, and then the thing, because it's not all built into the language, you kind of have to do it yourself. Anyways, and then fade dB, which is a thing that lets me do a dB fade rather than linear fade for smoother fade outs. By the way, this is something that a lot of people don't quite appreciate. Maybe people do, but people like things in dB because it's conceptually nice. But also, I would recommend people doing their logic for volume modulation in dB, because when you convert it to linear, it'll sound linear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, it's how much time you spend and different power.
Yes. So in Metasounds, if you have an LFO and it's outputting, you can do a -1 or 0 to 1 on an LFO, convert that to dB, and then multiply the dB, then convert that back to linear if you plug it into the volume graph. Anyways, it'll sound better. Anyways, so that's blah, blah, blah. And then here's the synth. This is the parent synth that does the voice. You can see all the different pans, loops through the different voices, and it has a little voice stealing thing. Voice. You can see oldest index, voice steal the oldest. So it's a really simple voice manager. And then here's where I get into music stuff. So I have a mode scale. This is your classic like definition of scales is basically where this is.
Yeah.
E is bass
canonical.
Yeah.
Diatonic.
Yeah, and here's where the definition of the data comes in. So here's your diatonic modes. Classic fun stream get name, Anyways, it's cool to get like Ionian class, extends. You can actually get your inheritance. You can make your own. This is, by the way, kind of weird to have like data extend. But
Yeah,
it works. It works because there's functionality here. I wanted to like, do your thing.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay, so then counterpoint generator. Here, this is fun. This is a class sort of based on simple species one counterpoint. I think I vaguely remember it's like mostly, I think I cut some corners somewhere. But in a nutshell, the thing that makes it counterpoint is you have, given your current choice, you limit your next choices. And so that's in a nutshell what this is. So, by the way, when I say species one counterpoint, that's referring to Johann Fuchs, which I recommend. See, look at this. Gradus ad Parnassum. Look it up. It's a great book. It's like written in the 1600s. Apparently, Johannes or J.S. Bach studied it. So this predates Bach. But
yeah, it's this is definitely one of the older music theory books that I have. In terms of, like,
one of the things I love about it is that it's written like a Greek philosophy text. So it's like two people like talking to each other. It's like a dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think more things should be taught through the mode of dialogue. Like imagine opening a technical book and it's just like people chatting.
Yeah,
like,
what about this? Like, could you imagine like a technical audio chat?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like this. Exactly. But I mean, like even just like a book written on this stuff, like people chatting, like, oh, that's amazing. Like, how does that work? Like, and make it feel more, because this is very dry material. I'm sure the guy who wrote the book, Johann, we can call him Mr. Fuchs or Fuchs.
It's not the worst. I mean, I have it. I have that book.
It's pretty boring, but the subject matter, like everyone, come on, counterpoint is kind of boring for most people. I think it's one of the things when you go to. I was a music major and a physics major. People really don't like counterpoint for some reason. I love it, but that's because I'm crazy.
Yeah, I think it's I feel like it's to me it felt like a lot of rules, and I don't like the rules. I was like, I want to make some music.
Dude, the best thing about rules is that they make it so that when you break them, it feels better.
Yeah.
If you didn't have rules, then it wouldn't feel good to break them. Come on, you got to have the yin and the yang.
That's what they always say, but like I just want to break the rules now.
But you don't even know what the rules are.
I don't know what the rules.
You're just a chaos agent at that point.
It's true. Yeah. By the way, everyone in the chat, I did not go through music theory. I have a degree in creative writing, English creative writing.
Anyways, here's McLaren's nutshell on counterpoint. This is it. It's really simple.
Or just in general?
In general, it's simple. Avoid parallel fifths. So what that means is if your previous interval was a fifth, then your next one don't be a fifth. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. It's as simple as that.
Perfect like parallels, right? Like
or eighths. So perfect fifths or perfect eighths. So perfect intervals, right? Anyways, but the point is you want to avoid it. That's what this is. Like, so if you're at a fifth, then you cannot pick a fifth again.
Yeah.
Although
it's just like that. All of your guitar music goes right out the window. Like
Although this actually. Wait a second here. This looks. This is like an eighth, and I'm like, wait a second. Wait, that's an option. No. So maybe there's a bug in there.
That's why you gotta see.
Anyways, that's why. No. I'd have to. Maybe this is. I did this 10 years ago, but anyways, who knows? Okay. All right. So then here's the thing that sets this up. You could randomly pick from a mode. Like, so every time you play this, it would be different.
Yeah. Now we're actually playing it.
Yeah. So you actually execute it, and then here, I love this. By the way, there's a variable reserved called now, which is in your code. Like basically this whole thing, you click add shred. So if you go over here to the mini article here, so you start the virtual machine. So now it's like a renderer, and then I click add shred. If this worked, it would be making sound, but it's not working. And then you can see that it is like a shred on there. And so, but the point is that now this whole thing is getting ticked, which sounds like bad performance, and it is. This is not a performance system. But this now kind of becomes a thing that gets So this while loop, just the whole thing is executed. So now is something that is like a continually incrementing variable. It's like that T in the last ByteBeat stuff. And
okay, yeah, sure.
and so every time this gets run, now minus 1 second. This I think this might. No, I think it is actually run every time. But this thing,
it's now is just now.
yes, exactly.
We're in a Spaceballs skit.
Wait, it's now, not now.
It's now. When will now be then?
Anyways, so numbers, this is crazy. Numbers, like just plain old integers, have methods on them. Or like,
of course they do.
And so in meta sounds, the time value, the time type, one of the ideas was to make it something like this, but we never did. It's just like freaking float everywhere. But it could be this someday. We'll maybe make that happen in meta sounds. So if you ever wonder why time is a special type, it's because we envision doing something like this in the world of meta sounds, where you have seconds, microseconds, samples. Like if you look up Chuck, there's many different domains where this could happen. Anyways, so here's how the logic happens. You do the notes, you do like your look it through here, check for the note timing conditions, and it generates sounds. Anyways, so I have hooked up here a recording of this thing, which I will play for you. You can hear what it sounds like, because I couldn't.
To caveat this recording is just one possible outcome.
Yes.
Of like many.
Yes. Yeah, so this is just like I picked one of my favorite outputs, and the other thing too about this is that it's non-real, or it actually is real time, but I'm not interacting with it, so it's like non-interactive. I think there might be a mode in Chuck where you can do an NRT, a non-real time export. SuperCollider certainly supports that. I've written a lot of stuff in SuperCollider, another programming language,
so you're just
you write a script and you generate like 500 pieces of music in one go, and then you just pick it's freaking awesome. Anyways, so here's what it sounds like. This is my SoundCloud, by the way. You can kind of hear the counterpoint in there.
It's taking a while. I mean, it's resolved slowly. So yeah, I like it.
One of the things I did in it is the LFOs are random, so that beeping is done through this LFO. And because I wanted to kind of create a point cloud kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Thus counterpoint. You get the, count point counter, and you're counting points. Get it? Counterpoint, point counter. Come on.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yep. Eric also gets it.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. By the way, this is this art on my SoundCloud is I put it on when AI art generation first started coming out. And it was like kind of crappy, but I kind of loved how crappy it was. And so this is like OG vintage AI art generation. Now it would be hard to generate art this bad now.
Yeah.
It's like anyway, so I have a lot of stuff. Look at this stuff. Like, look at that picture. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah. Was that the like sort of Google? What was it? Google Deep.
I can't remember what I used. I can't remember what I used for it, but I did a whole bunch. Some of this is my own hand drawn art. I did this. This is my own hand drawn art. I did this.
That's nice. I like.
You like that? Yeah. I was trying to get like the black and white vibe. I also did this. You like that?
Yeah. I would just say I would rather see the worst person-made art than the best
AI. This is hand
generated art. Yeah. I like the chromatic aberration there too.
So this is I'm into really modular synth now. I'm sitting next to a modular synth rack. So this is my first analog synthesis track I ever made. Nice. This was with the Mother 32. I think I had 2 Mother 32s, and this was literally the first thing I made where I was like, oh, this actually sounds pretty good. So it's very minimal. Anyway, so this is my SoundCloud. A lot of the stuff on here is procedural. Not everything is, but a lot of it is. So there's point counter. Anyways.
There's a link to Aaron's SoundCloud in the video description. And I have it scrolling across the screen.
So this, I think this is the one. So we talked about, yeah, okay. So we talked about when I got my gig for Spore.
Right.
I told you I was writing a procedural music thing, and it was this crazy huge max patch, and this is the only recording I have from it. So this is
wow.
actually procedurally generated. This is what I did before I got that gig on Spore. So it's not that great. It's like early. It's like an
'cause
early.
This would have been like 2007,
2006, I think.
6. Yeah.
So you can see it's not very sophisticated, but it's a 4-point pattern generator, and this has me interacting with it. So I'm able to, like, while it's running, generate different patterns and mess with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like half performance, half procedural.
Nice.
You can see as it gets, it's kind of
There's
cool.
some nice moments here. Yeah.
There's good moments. If you listen, I could listen to the whole thing, but if you listen in the middle, it starts getting pretty good. Here we go.
It's
like there's parts in there
sounds
you're
like development. Yeah, it's great.
it definitely develops because I'm pushing buttons and controlling it, and it's also done in one take. Like this is just like me and Maximus P recording straight to a WAV file, doing one performance take of it, and then kind of trying to master it afterwards.
Honestly, sometimes those are some of the most satisfying stuff that I make. Like, if it's like a single take performance, and it's just interacting with the system or the thing or whatever it is, and you're sort of like in a flow state. You're sort of zoned in on it. And yeah, I really think those are always really great.
Actually, while I'm in here, I'll just show you a couple other things. So Biko here, this was a show I did when I was at UC Santa Barbara, where it was another Maximus P patch, similar to the last one, except obviously very different. But I mean, similar from the sense of like I'm sitting in front of it, performing it, like clicking buttons and doing things. And this was recorded straight off of my laptop from the live show. And so I'm like in front of an audience of drunk, college students, and I was sitting behind or in front of these two gigantic speaker monitors and it was freaking loud. It was so loud. And so imagine this just pumping, going crazy.
Santa Barbara or the Bay Area?
Santa Barbara. This was at Biko. Actually, Biko is
Oh, is that the location?
Yeah, Biko. Barbara there. Biko then and now. So if you look at Biko, this is the vibe.
Oh yeah,
it's insane. Yeah. It's famous for at Santa Barbara. Yeah, Biko Garage. If you go here, so this was there. Lots of famous people have performed there. And so it was pretty packed. And someone came up and they're like, "You're like a scientist of beats," because like we're like graduate students, like nerdy stuff. Anyway, so I'll play that. So we don't have to. So imagine this really freaking loud. So this is a totally procedural, crazy max patch.
It's great.
This is the kind of thing Charles would like, I think. And it's 9 minutes long, so we don't have to listen to all that. But I do. There's a part where it gets crazy at the end. And I start making it go so fast that my computer almost crashes. Let's see, here we go. Hear this part here, this beat. And it's, again, it doesn't sound that loud here, but imagine this like,
oh yeah, you got like
really freaking loud in an audience where people are trying to dance to the beat, and I'm intentionally making it go crazy, faster and faster and faster. And people are like, oh! You hear it like the tempo getting insane. And like make it even louder, ba 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 ba. And again, while this is going on, I don't really know that this is what's going to happen because it is randomly generated, and so I'm like, oh, this is cool, and I'm kind of exploring it as it's going.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like dies at the end. Here is if you there's a video of the live show, and here people are screaming, and you hear just like this. People are like, ah! Like. And then I bring it back to the last thing. Like, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Spore. I was looking for this. So when I worked on Spore, I secretly recorded. So hopefully EA is not listening. I took the patches that I was writing for Spore and tried to make music that I personally like. Most of the music in Spore is not, as a composer. This is actually interesting, by the way. As a composer, when you work on a game, you're not really making music for you. You're making music for the game, right?
Yeah.
And that even applies to procedural music. So I'm like tuning it.
Does, yeah.
I'm attuning it for like playful kids, to make, because that's the whole application. But the same algorithms that I was writing, I was like, I want to make music that I like. And so that's what this is. So it's called Sporozoa. Get the reference?
I get it.
So I like this. I used actually, this is from Andy Lackey. He had a set of samples that he had recorded of a camera, like all the different like camera sounds, like he was doing Foley on it.
Yeah.
And he had shared this like sample library that I was like, these are so cool sounding. So I turned them into drum samples. So you'll hear the drums coming in.
I love this.
So there's all camera samples.
Mm-hmm.
So this is using the same rhythm generation algorithms that we were using for all the different creature creators and all that shit.
Right.
I think actually the tones are also from some sample that Andy had given me.
Yeah, they're really nice.
That's all procedural, by the way. That little dot. I didn't handwrite that.
Yeah, that's why you don't necessarily want to put no repeats on every time.
Exactly. So what this is a variety of like very intentional variation code that comes up. It's intentionally phraseological, so it's intentionally creating phrases. And then it has fills that probabilistically come in. So
that's great.
There's a feeling of like, little rhythmic fills, and then very intentionally creates space. So that right now is a space.
Yeah.
So, but it's all varieties of like seed structure.
This is something that I feel is misunderstood oftentimes about procedural design, which is it is actually like heavily curated.
Oh, absolutely. This is a thing that Patrick Hart brings up a lot in his. By the way, I love Patrick Hart's talks. He talks so eloquently about this stuff, and he brings it. It's like not just random; it's constrained randomness. You're trying to carve out this, and this absolutely is the case. So then, by the way, so I'm looking at this procedural sequence. So this was now I'm a graduate student at UCSB. I'm doing a collaboration with a guy named Per Hovey. Let's see, because I think he actually has Per Hovey. See if I can find it. So this guy is freaking awesome. Oh yeah, here we go. Matt Cloakum video. So this is what it's from. Him and I did a collaboration. I collaborated there. Look at that.
Ah.
So he's a visual guy and I'm an audio guy. What the frick? Let's verify your connection. Here we go. Let's see. Come on. Anyway, so he does like procedural graphics and I did procedural audio. Here we go. So this you can see with the actual context of this. So we basically in like non-real time generated something like 600 these like webinar intros. Isn't that hilarious?
Yes. I love the cadence is just like...
Yeah, it's totally randomized cadential music. And this was all non-real time generated. Like we generated like 400 of them. I don't remember how many. And I think he did this with processing, I think is how we made this.
So, were you given like time constraints or like
no? This was not a commission, by the way. We just did it, and then we're like, "Hey, we made."
No. I sorry. I mean like synchronization to the graphics. Was
it
like
yeah. These were generated together, and so it was using open sound control. I was sending, so it was the music that would drive it, like, and so he would build his procedural system based off of the musical data that I was giving him. And then you notice like there's a little camera shake at the end.
Yeah.
That was on the cadential, like, boop, because I knew when I was resolving,
Right.
So this is all like OSC messages. And
Yeah.
as it evolves, he can kind of draw it, and it was a little loose, but that's fine,
Well, it's like that downbeat just ties it all together regardless of what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a little bit of like visual thing, So, but like all of the branching is from messages that I'm sending to him too, So so there is a little bit of time. Aesthetically, I'm not a huge fan of it. I don't, this is a thing. It's fine, but it was his vision, and it's kind of if it was me, it'd probably be dark and harsh, because that's like
not necessarily what you
it'd
want
be like
for the seminar series.
Exactly. Like for me, it'd be like freaking crazy because I love. Like I should show you my Vimeo. This is here actually. So yeah. Anyways, I got another procedural thing I did and I did the visuals on it, and it is freaking not. It's dark. Anyway, so that's what this is. This is like a higher. So you can see that. Like, because I had tons of them, right?
Yeah. It's nice to have the rhythm and some tempo variety.
Oh yeah. But so now you can imagine what the context of this shit is. And this was done in Max, by the way. I think I did most of it in a JavaScript. And it's really simple stuff. So that one picks some blues, phrases.
Yeah.
Anyways, the same rhythmic techniques were from Spore, all that kind of stuff. So it's like developed.
Yeah.
And then, so I do want to show you. Okay, this is look at this, 10 years ago. This is an example of stuff I was doing before I got into procedural music. This is probably my favorite early days electronic music. I'll just play that for a second. So this is all handmade, like traditional.
Right.
I just like it. That's me. Enjoying what I was like. So this is like painstakingly hand authored. But you can see my procedural music comes out of this is the kind of music I was making manually.
Well, I think that's another thing that sort of speaking back to like the constraints.
Yes.
That procedural music also can be a very clear artist expression. Like you can hear some like the artist.
Yeah, you can hear this is non-procedural. Yeah. I feel like I'm in my procedural music. It translates the aesthetics that I'm trying to translate.
Yeah,
very intentionally.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think it's a pretty good song. Okay, then.
So yeah, this is nice.
What I was trying to envision on this one, I remember, was literally flying through a cloud of bubbles.
Yeah.
Like the opening thing is like you go drinking a can of soda, and then it's zooming in to the like. The bubbles.
Like the Coca-Cola.
Yeah, the Coca-Cola. Yeah, it's a Coke commercial. Basically, it's a Coke commercial is what I'm trying to say. I was really trying to go for the Coke thing. Anyways. All right, so I've got a couple other things I can show here, because the other thing I really like is SuperCollider. So I got really into SuperCollider. I was trying to hunt down my patches, but I can't find them. But I was like, in graduate school when I was at UCSB, I was going hard on SuperCollider. So this is an example of a procedural music piece in that. So I was into, this is a totally non-real-time generated piece. And I was trying to focus on structural development.
Okay.
So if you listen to this, in terms of compositional structure, it's not just like a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It's trying to develop theme and variation. So look at that. See it structurally? You get what I'm saying? Like
I get
compositionally.
totally what you're saying. I want to. I don't want to like talk over it too much, but I'm curious about your thoughts on approaching structural development, because I feel like procedural music, like one of the big challenges is structure, like large scale structure, and
It's the hardest thing.
having that make like a lot of sense, because
Yes.
a lot of sort of musical forms and expectations are this sort of return to previous phrases or periods, or however you want to parse the like chunks of music or the sequence, and to develop those elements as well.
Yes. It's really hard. I put a lot of thought into it, and it's the hardest part. It's easy to get something procedural that sounds cool in the moment.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more effort to generate structure, at least, through, I would call it now, traditional procedural methods, not freaking AI.
Right.
But the way I think about it, because I love music theory and I got into it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear, like you can see, by the way, like the development on this. But the way I think of it is Schenkerian synthesis.
Okay.
Which sounds crazy. But if you don't know, so Schenkerian analysis is a very a pretty deep. Most people in music, I'll just keep talking while the music's playing.
Yeah.
Most people in music, as a music major, learn about this and they groan and they're like, "Oh my God, what the hell is this?" And it's this very kind of arcane way of thinking about music, and in a way, it kind of boils things down in a way that kind of for a lot of people, ruins the magic of music. To me, I was like, because I remember I was a physics major as well. I'm like,
right.
Oh, this is the GUT of music, like Granular. And I'm like, it's like breaking it down, and you kind of get down to this sort of functional analysis of music down to its core simplistic like principles. And the gist of it is you take complex music and you go through multiple layers. This is a very long and horrible article on this, but the idea is that you kind of reduce the complexity of a complicated piece of music into successive analyses of increasingly lower resolution and simpler ways of thinking about it. And right. I'm also into jazz, which is something you do in jazz. When you're trying to improvise, you're like, oh, this really complicated set of chords is actually just a subdominant dominant of this, and then this is just a modulation into this key, which is just this, and this whole thing is really just a tonic, and then here's the so you get it, you want to think about different levels of simplicity,
but also the relationship, the function that they serve.
Yes, it's a functional analysis. But the point is that you this is an analytical approach, right? And one of the things in synthesis is that every analytical part of looking at sound has a synthetic part. Additive synthesis is also additive, like spectral analysis. And so you kind of have this sort of synthesis and analysis pairing in the world of sound. And then I was like, Schenkerian,
every field, right?
That's true. Yeah, exactly. You break something, like there's something in reality, you break it down and build a model, and then from that model you can resynthesize back to reality, right? And so Schenkerian analysis, I was like, there's no Schenkerian synthesis. And so my PhD thesis, what I wanted to do in UCSB, if I were to have stayed there, would have been Schenkerian synthesis. Sort of like how to take this sort of analytical approach and invert it to regenerate the music. And so that's what this is kind of my attempt to start simple, structurally, and then build in the complexity from there. So so structurally, it's a method to take, like, okay, here's the 1, here's the 5, here's the 1. Okay, now how high res do we want to go? Like build like a musical fractal. So you go, the 1 actually is actually this, and you can start doing substitutions all the way down from that real simple thing. Now you've got your structure, and then you can do the same thing with melody. So you're like, here's my melody. It's really like do da 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 da, but now I can go dee doo dee doo dee doo dee doo dee doo. You get higher. It's totally a way to think about generating complexity from simplicity.
But we also do this in normal, like traditional compositional context. Like
exactly,
like if we're building a theme or something like that, we will break it down to chunkier parts, and
That's
then
exactly right.
use intermediary elements to sort of enrich it and do all that sort of stuff is very 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 reflective of the compositional process.
So, in this vein, I'm looking for one more piece of like just how crazy procedural music can get, or at least my attempts. So there's this guy, Zbigniew Karkowski. You guys know? You've ever heard of him? Did I ever tell you of him?
This one I don't remember. Shankarian analysis, I remember us talking about that a bunch, but
Okay, so this guy, Zbigniew Karkowski, is a crazy motherfucker. So let me.
this is an opinion
Hey,
of
this.
Aaron McLaren. It's not
So
official standing of this.
So no, he's amazing. He died in 2013, sadly. But this guy is a huge influence on me. He came as a visiting composer at UC Santa Barbara when I was there.
You did talk about
yeah.
And I remember,
He's Polish, and part of like in my mind, this guy is like an idol of mine. I kind of he's more punk than any punk I've ever met. I've never met anybody that embodied the punk life more than this guy. He lived in Japan. He was big in China, like he was huge in China, and he just traveled the world making crazy noise music, insane noise music. He studied with what's his name? It probably says it here. Xenakis. So his first teacher was Xenakis. Xenakis is a huge giant in computer music. If you don't know him, you should know him. He's amazing. Anyways, so Zbigniew Karkowski, he's got a whole his huge discography. Anyways, he shows up to UC Santa Barbara and gives a lecture, and it was like it blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck? How can someone write music like this? See if I can find an example of his stuff. I mean, I could show you this. We did an album together, is my point. So him and I worked on this. I think, right here. 2 composed with this. The craziest ones on there are the ones that I composed. These 2 are freaking insane. And the way this happened was he sent me... Anyways, so let me back up. So he's a visiting professor. Email goes out to the student groups like, hey, Zbigniew wants to hang out and maybe do a thing. And I was the only one that showed up. And we're chatting, and I'm showing him my music, and he's like really encouraging. He's very encouraging of the stuff I was working on. He shows me his stuff, and we just start chatting.
Yeah.
And then later he sends me a piece of some recording, this cello. That's back here. There's this thing. That's what brought this down here. Cello, echo of a cello. So this is a thing that he sent me, and he goes, "Hey, I'm doing this thing with these cellists, and I want you to fuck the shit out of it. Just fuck it up." And so then I sent this back to him. So this was echo of a cello. If you listen here, here, turn it up. So this is a cello. Totally, you couldn't tell it's a cello. It's totally jacked up beyond all recognition. But it is a cello.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's totally a cello.
Yeah.
And I was trying to project his style, and try to really embrace. So that's a cello in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Anyway, so I got, and then we ended up doing a show together in Oakland, California. And then, which I have posted on my Vimeo. I have a Vimeo account. Yeah, here. Look at how young I am here. Look at that.
What?
That's hipster Aaron vibe. Anyway, I did a thing on my cat. Here, let me turn this off. So check this out. So, okay, what the fuck? Okay, yeah. So this is my cat, Hypatia. Her name was actually Tiki, but so it's just a thing. Just you can see this insane. I liked it because you can see the retina in her eye. You see that? Anyways. So this is stuff I was working on, but this kind of thing. And so this is another procedural thing I was working on, visual stuff. just real quick. I'll just show you real quick. So this is a performance I did in 2009. This is my aesthetic, by the way, visually. If I have a chance to do aesthetics, it looks like this. So real into that shit. Anyways, so then I do this thing. So this is our Oakland show. This was performed in Oakland. Oh, in 2010. Wow, 15 years ago, man. So this show, again, really loud speakers. He's generating a bunch of noise on his laptop. And then it's connected to my laptop, which is running an insane max patch that's totally jacking it up. And then I have an iPhone connected with OSC driving like something like 20 parameters.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting like doing this crazy morphing of the accelerometer data on my iPhone. It's like moving it, you know? And this was a whole live show, and I didn't know what was going to happen at all next. So it's an exploration thing, and I would shake my phone to regenerate everything, and that's what you see, these like big shifts. So I'd be like, okay, here, I'm exploring a space. Okay, now I'm bored of it, and I'd just shake my phone, and then a whole bunch of parameters would pop up.
That's funny. Yeah, that's awesome.
And so this is like the crazy thing I did was the Big Niv. And you can kind of see the aesthetic. And this is my visuals I did. So you get, again, shitty max. This is jitter. This is like shitty jitter. I would never claim to be an expert in any of this, but it's stuff I liked. I like this abstraction, you know?
Yeah, it works.
So anyways, so then we did this album together, and I just want to play this to you because it's hilarious. Reset interval. So this is insane. I don't know. I don't see a volume control on this, but
yeah, that's an evergreen problem with Bandcamp.
Yeah.
I'm sort of curious how you did you collaborate in the same way on this album as you did with his
so
other,
essentially
like, he would send you stuff and then you would like mangle it.
Yes, that's exactly how it worked. And then he would critique it, and then I'd do it again. He did the mastering, so he
okay, yeah.
So, but anyways, if you listen to this, it's 7 minutes of that shit. It's insane. And then this one is more long form. Look at 18 minutes.
Yeah. Journey.
So this one, a lot of it is, you know, like cell phones that give you that, like in the old days, we had
the little radio interference,
and there would be like radio interference on the thing. I got a recording of that, and this whole thing is heavily based off of the cell phone. You can kind of hear it. Yeah. Anyways, I'm into noise music a lot, and this is the kind of thing that I listen to this, and the way I listen to it is you put the dart, get a little bit drunk, maybe a little bit high, turn the lights off, get really high quality headphones, and then just lose yourself into the noise. There's something about noise, in my opinion, that hits my brain in a way that is simultaneously satisfying and very
like
stimulating, and it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
But it's like a level of complexity. It's like staring at what's the term when you look at really complicated stuff and then you like see things out of it? What's that?
Hallucination?
No. There's a term. It's like if you look at it like a floral pattern and then you start seeing faces out of it.
Oh yeah.
Pareidolia or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the term though. Yeah.
This thing. Tendency to provide meaningful image or patterns where none actually exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so in noise music, that happens to me musically. Like I hear melodies, I hear rhythms, I hear patterns, I hear structure. And there is stuff in there that is structure that a composer would impose, but there's a lot more in there that was never intentionally added.
Right.
There's something that's exciting about it. Anyways, Sorry, I went on a deep end here, Dan, but
No, that was fun.
I
Here,
guess
let
you
me
can stop sharing my screen.
yeah. That was super interesting. It was I feel
Right.
like it's definitely one of those sort of niche spaces that
Did we lose everybody in the chat, by the way?
no. We're
Because you
doing
get listening to crazy
well,
fucking
yeah, if
noise
you want
music.
to see, we've got Charles as like a visual migraine,
Yeah, it's a little visual migraine.
pattern bias.
Yeah.
Brian's recognizing patterns also, like
It
sort of
box
see.
cello suite.
We've
Anyways,
got yeah. So it's I think I anyway, like I think first of all I really appreciate you sharing this sort of like your sort of history and your journey through this space. I really do. I think it's a really I think for most people it's probably new or novel to them. Like I expect this is a very niche part of the
yeah, I don't think noise music is not super popular.
it's not
It's not a genre that most people go in. Wait, Fuller's like, we're just refilling our drink. Well, that's what I'm doing. I literally refilled. I'm drinking wine here. I just refilled my drink. That's literally what I'm doing here. But noise music is not something that's wide. It has a niche audience,
yes.
but it's not
Yeah.
certainly mainstream.
No, but I think that it's I think there's a lot of space for like sometimes people. Let me put it this way: sometimes people don't even know about a thing, and they don't even know that they could explore this until they
Yeah.
hear about it or see someone doing it or whatever.
That was
And
basically Zabigniew introduced me to noise music. I wasn't into it until I met a guy doing it, and I was like, "What? Someone can make music like this?" And like have even like he's kind of a monk. He was not like luxuriously living, but he was living doing noise music. Like he survived. Like that was what he did.
I think that's interesting too. That you can kind of going back to what we were talking about before, like do the thing that you want to do.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You should like. I didn't find YouTube videos of him performing, but he would have audiences, like very large audiences, freaking out because he was well known in his scene, and it would just be sitting on, like, you'll find videos of this like noise, like just the most piercing noise. It's just like, and he's just sitting there smoking a cigarette, calm, like the look at as a performer, so he's just sitting there. He's like badass, like Polish guy with his like shaved head, like such a punk, and he's like, this is nothing, and it's like piercing chaos, right? And everyone's like, ah, and he's like calm, and then he goes, pushes a button, and it's just like drops the bass.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's just like unreactive, like, yeah, that's right, fucking, what's up, like there's something so cool about that, and it's not me. Like that was when I performed with him, he was cool like that. And I'm the whole time I've got a smile on my face, I'm like doing this crazy thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm like clearly like happy, like my performance vibe is absolutely not badass. I'm just like, oh cool. Afterwards, we're like, in the intermission, because we did 2 sets. Someone comes like, dude, that's some crazy music. Let me give you a tip though. Stop smiling. Some guy in the audience. So I was like, I gotta look dark and mysterious, And it's funny because I like that vibe, but that's not me, Like I'm not a dark, mysterious performer, I'm like, I'd rather make people laugh, like that kind of a thing. And so you got to work your stage presence.
The mystique.
Should wear all black and just been like angry, That's actually there's something to Deadmau5 putting a mask on. God, that would be. That's what if I want to go into noise music, I got to be like Deader Mouse. I got to totally rip it off, yeah, and just like a really like literally a face of a mouse that has died, not it's like literally a corpse is what I'm talking about. But that'll be my mask, and then inside I'm laughing, but at the outside it's just like literal.
It could just be like a
mouse corpse. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that I think is also something worth. When I was growing up, I didn't understand completely the separation between making the music and performing the music, and it wasn't really until I got into like, behind the scenes on like my favorite
Yep.
movie scores and that sort of thing, that I sort of understood the distinction. Because those are two different worlds, completely different worlds, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we're at the 2-hour mark. I can keep
Yeah.
chatting if you want to keep chatting. I don't know. How's our audience
Well,
feeling?
well, yeah.
We haven't talked
For,
about the granulator. It's
we
on the
haven't
thing.
talked about the granulator.
I can talk about it. I've got it ready to talk about. You want to talk about it?
It's sure we could talk about it. My thing is usually like, it, I just tended after like 3 hours, I am usually tired after. Like where 2 hours.
But it's only 2 hours. We got an hour to go.
No. I also have.
I have drank more. I've drank half a bottle of wine, by the way. So I'm like multiple glasses in.
The other thing is we also have next week. I think Eric's also out next week. Obviously, you're welcome to come anytime, but if you wanted to also join next week, that'd be cool. I'm sure everyone in the chat would like that.
How many people we got? Like, it's hard to tell how many people.
We're at 17. You can actually see
17.
Yeah, there's little counter at the top of the screen.
I'm nervous now. I thought it was like 4 people. It was a total of 17 people listening to us right now.
4 people was last week, so now we got 19. So
there you go. It's a good trend. You keep going. It'll be like 550 people in no time. So how about this? If people want to hang out, let me sell it. So we haven't really talked about Unreal Engine that much. We probably have a lot of people want to come into Unreal Engine. I do have a thing that I showed at Unreal Fest, a little project I put together that shows node config. I made a granulator node. It's still not checked in. I've been trying to find time to code since Unreal Fest. But I would absolutely talk about granulation, what the vision of this node is, how it could work in games, and kind of walk it through if people are into it. But so for the people that are here, you want to stay around and see that? We got a hell yeah from an unnamed person.
We also have a
who is that? Is that
hello?
Yeah, Swack Boy. He's into it.
Yeah. We have no name.
We have no name. Okay, all right.
Or no, the name is 12:08 a.m.
Is it?
It's 8 past.
That's actually such a cool name because it looks like it's the UI.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ethan wants us to explain some Metasound stuff. So let's do that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, so
but we're not going to show. Well, maybe we'll do my thing next week then. My thing's going to be super boring compared to all the the granulator stuff.
Yeah. All right, we'll do it next week. How about this? Next week you and I can do a coding thing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I could show you. I could show you my thing, and then you could talk about the stuff that we're going to talk about.
So I'm actually going to San Francisco next week. I'm not sure. I'm flying back Thursday. I don't know if maybe I will make it in time. Maybe I think I will make that. So I think I am flying back in the afternoon, so I should be back. I'll confirm that. All right, let's granulate.
Let's granulate.
All right.
Like we ourselves are going to dissolve.
Let's granulate. You can share. If you want to share my screen again.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is the project. Okay, so briefly, this is maybe boring to people, but
what is granulation?
Sure, we can talk about that. Granulation is the process of taking a grass, planting it, growing it, taking the grains off of it, and making bread. That's what we're about to talk about.
I've made lots of bread since 2020. Let's tell you what
you're doing. You're doing granulation. So anyways, it's the process of chopping up a audio file into small bits, but it could be big bits. Grains could be large, but the whole point of it is that you're just chopping a sound file off. Now, so I studied with Curtis Rhodes when I was at UCSB. Curtis is the dude. Let me make a new.
Do you want me to switch?
No. I'm gonna just do this. Curtis Rhodes. Microsound. I recommend this book. So Curtis is the guy for granulation, and he was my graduate advisor. I told you, like, I worked with him, and I got a thing, a National Science Foundation grant to do granulation stuff. Anyways, I recommend checking out this book. He's got a lot of
books, right?
He does, and there's a new version.
I have a couple of them.
Well, there's the computer music tutorial. which
I
is
think I have that and Microsound.
yeah. So those are his two biggest books.
Wait, does this have 2 volumes?
I don't think it has 2 volumes, but it has a new version. I think he just
Oh, okay.
published another.
Yeah, that's
Anyways, highly recommend reading it because it's good for the theory part of it. But one thing that he makes a distinction of the difference between granular synthesis and granulation. They're kind of the same, but granulation is like a subset of granular synthesis, where granulation is specifically taking an audio file and chopping it up. Granular synthesis could also be tiny grains of synthetically generated sounds. And this is I would say it is an important distinction because
interesting. Because I always thought of a lot of the granular synths, quote unquote, that I've utilized. I think more of like granular resynthesis.
Yeah. So Curtis also writes. He's a composer, and So this is a piece that he's written. As you give an example. So this is like the guy's music.
We've got Curtis fans in the audience here.
Yeah. So here, it's noise music, but this is Curtis's granulation. And it's kind of like overcompressed, but you should check out his actual albums with high quality stuff. In my opinion, in the realm of noise music and that kind of stuff, he is one of the best. His stuff is amazing. So anyways, that's the kind of like theoretical background. So what granulation is in Unreal Engine is the ability to granulate audio files. So I've got a demo here. This is an audio file.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, that's so cute.
So I downloaded off this free sound.
Oh, that's so cute.
All right, so that's the sound file, and we're gonna granulate it. So let's do it. Actually, let's do it from scratch, so I can talk it through. So we'll make a meta sound source. Cute grain.
It's some people should know that this is not available.
Yeah. This is some hot off the presses shit. This is experimental. The code is literally still not checked in. Just FYI.
Yeah.
So this may change, but anyways. So what this is a node I made right before Unreal Fest, and I wanted to demo it on the floor of the Expo Center. So what this is doing is it's taking advantage of node configuration, which is a new feature, and also channel agnostic audio types. So you see this right here. Audio output is not a normal audio type, and then when you select it over here, you see output type, what format you want the grains to be in, and then granular envelope type. So this sort of node config is a new feature in 5.6. That's an API. You have to enable the experimental plugin to even see. Like there's this like a configurable node demo. This is a demo node in the experimental plugin, and if you see right here, this is for programmers really, but it's like exercise. The number of inputs 3. Okay, cool. Number of inputs 10. You can see the node gets configured. Now, if you know meta sounds, this is a huge thing. This should excite you because you can see the number of outputs too. You can configure that. It should excite you because we have this nightmare that's happening right now in meta sounds. So you have mixer 2 to 8, stereo. There's like flavors here, and if you want, you put that down and you want to change your mind, you've got to delete it and then go and it's a huge problem. And you're like, oh, actually, I want this. So,
and what's even more frustrating is that there's only a single line of code that you could add to like have like a 32 one if you wanted it, but like it's otherwise not very useful.
So you have this stereo mix. So this is a little bit of a meander here, but just to illustrate what we mean by node config and channel agnostic types. So if you built this out, these are variants that all register as separate nodes in the Metasound registry. So like each of these,
they're the same like code that is getting reused, but all of the inputs and outputs have to be sort of registered.
Yeah, because when Metasound shipped, there wasn't an ability to configure it after it was instantiated. This was something we wanted to have by 5.0 when UE5 came out, but we're like, oh, we'll do that in the summer, like we'll get to it. And then like, it's like
famous
2 years later.
Yeah.
2 years later, we still, and so like, it was a big push to like find the time and priority to do it. And so this nightmare will go away. This is a note I wrote with Jimmy. Jimmy Smith is like working on cat types. And so this will go away because check this out on the left. You select it now and you get options. And then you say, oh, number of inputs. There you go. 10 inputs,
Yep.
70 inputs. This is hilarious. 100 inputs.
Only 100.
Only 100. You can go down to here. Boop. So anyways, so that goes away. And there's no stereo or mono. It's whatever you want. And you can say, mix format. You basically select how, like, the different cat types. So this could come from a wave, like a stereo wave player, a mono wave player, a 5.1, and it'll just all work together seamlessly. And the output, you select it and you say what you want the output to be. And so you say, it figures out what the output is based on your mixer. You're like, pick the highest of the inputs, highest
right.
channel,
Yeah,
or whatever.
interesting. Yeah, okay.
And then you take this and you can go cat panner. No, I got a cat. Is it panner?
He called it cast.
No, I have a pan.
Okay.
Azimuth panner. So, yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
But you can do a cast to this.
That would be a significant drop in
break. That's how you do it. So you do this, and you can say actually break it to mono. I don't know. Point is, you can do that. So this is how you go from cat to old-fashioned audio types. Anyways, the point is that this, if you want to get stereo output, you can do that, and that connects to the current outputs if you want.
And that will handle the fold down. So the inputs could be all different types. You have mono and stereo and surround. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So let me go back to here. Let me make the stereo. So now you can say this is the old way, well, the current way. My brain is always like in the future. But let me actually delete this one-shot interface because it annoys me. All right. So this in the future, this will be cat outputs. So you won't have to deal with this. It'll just be a cat type, this thing. But right now, so the granulator, let's do a stereo granulator. I've got to do break into stereo, and then this is how you kind of hook it up into the old way, aka current way. But in the future, you'll just be able to connect that to the output. And then when you go down to the meta sound, you'll be able to say in your cat format what you want it actually to be, or it could be hardware or whatever. There'll be a mechanism to like inherit cat types.
Right.
All right. So that's cat, and that's a channel node config. All right. So the granulator.
So you just decided to make the cat output at straight up, just like you're going to use cat output for this
because I want to. This is experimental. I want to see what it takes. Because they'll go this green pan. So the green pan parameter.
Can you zoom in? Actually, be like, yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah. So green pan is panning the individual greens, and so you'll see that actually you'll hear it when I get it hooked up here. That it'll be spatialized or panned. Right. All right. So the cool thing about meta sounds is that you have sample accurate triggers. So this is a node that's already in here. We have a grain delay. I wrote this. And this, I remember actually when I first talked about this at Game SoundCon, somebody raised their hand and said the grain delay was broken because it only played one grain.
It's not grains delay.
Yeah, but I think it's hilarious because like the person didn't quite grok the power of meta sounds and why it's a single trigger. And so the person had hooked this up, played an audio in. So what's the difference between a grain delay and a granulator? I've already jumped off. So what is a grain delay? Grain delay takes an audio type in, puts it into like an internal delay line or a circular buffer, and granulates off of that, versus a granulator, which takes a whole file. So these are two different. In the world of granulation, there's kind of a branch at the top. Grain delay is like for live audio, like microphone input or procedurally generated audio. Yeah. Granulator has a whole audio file, so you can do really cool stuff with the whole audio file that you literally cannot do with a grain delay. And also, obviously, grain delay is great for processing live dynamically generated audio. So they're both really useful, but there is a non-overlapping utility that they don't share. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so so this is my first thing. I learned some things. Like I realized when I did this, I kind of hate these ranges. The idea was at the rate of your granulation spawn, this is the base parameter, and then you can kind of like get a cloud effect off of it. I didn't do that for this, and I had some experiments, and I think I would prefer this without that, because I'll show you. You can get cloud-like behavior at block rate, and it works just fine, in my opinion. But you know, if you want sample accurate cloud behavior, cloud being like probabilistic grain parameters, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So instead of like instead of spawning like grain at a specific delay or duration, it's like a duration with a little bit of like randomization, so you can kind of get like a jittery granular cloud effect, which is really cool. Anyways, but the ultimate point is, what I was going to say is that metasounds have sample accurate triggers, and so if you want really high rate grain spawns, like you could set this to be really high rate. You know, you could be like, I want this to be generated at 600 grains a second, and then boom, you've got that, right? Because it's at the trigger. Like this is taking advantage of the power of metasounds.
That's
most
beats per minute.
Yeah, oh yeah, whatever. You know what I mean.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's not.
You're a physics guy.
I
know your units, right?
I do know my units. 600 grains per minute, or whatever, divided by 16. Anyways, the point is but my point though is that you have precise control of your grain spawns.
Yeah.
Unlike any other granulation or most granulation tools, you have a parameter called grain rate. Because most tools operate at block rate or grain density or grain rate or whatever variation on that. And most tools operate at block rate, so you can't get a sample accurate grain spawn in. But because metasounds support it, you got to freaking have sample accurate grain spawns, and this allows you to get really precious and precise with your granulation, which makes this very. So people do amazing things with this. When we get this in, people are going to do amazing things with this.
Yeah.
So anyways, get back to that sound that I added. So this is the folder. Yeah, this is this guy. All right. So again, I'll just play it here. Wave player mono.
Just play it in the thing.
Oh yeah.
That's fancy.
What?
Oh, that's so cute.
For some reason, the developer stuff doesn't show up in the drop down. I don't know why. Do you know how?
You go to the gear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta just. There you go. Show developers content. Second one.
I know I can't see because the fucking overlay of the console thing. All right. I don't know how to use Unreal Engine.
Second one.
All right, so then you can go like this.
Oh, that's so cute.
Look at that. Oh, that's so cute.
That's amazing.
I can't use this.
I can't use
this lock is too hard.
This is the subconscious user of metasounds. It's too hard.
This lock is too complex.
It's too complex. All right. Anyways, so
that's really funny. Those are from pre-sound. That's funny.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is hook up a trigger repeat on the grain spawn. Get this guy to start. Get this over to BPM. We already kind of did that. Let's do this. But by the way, we just had a thing here to have a slider on this. I think that'll be way better, so you don't have to do this to just like get a quick. That was an exciting idea, by the way, Dan, in that meeting that we had. Because this is a very common thing, but you want a slider like right here. You know, you don't want to.
Yeah.
I think it's like obvious,
or
right?
just, I mean, or just like in general, being able to extend the UI of the nodes to like have arbitrary input values. Yeah.
All right, so let's get the grain. Okay, so one of the cool things with the granulator here is that I have grain location X and grain channel Y.
Whose idea was that?
That was Dan's idea. That was your idea. And so what it is this particular audio file won't take advantage of it because it's mono. But if you have a multi-channel audio file, grain channel Y will actually interpolate through the channels. So if you have like a stereo or 5.1, you actually can blend through. The grains themselves will always be mono, but you can like blend through the channels, so you can kind of think of it as like a wavetable.
Yeah.
But I don't. This demo won't have that because I only have mono asset. But anyways, it does work. So grain location X is normalized. So this is in the audio file, like 0 to 1.
So it's like a percentage.
It's a percentage, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so get this going.
Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute.
So there you go, and you can
Yep.
make go like this.
So cute.
All right, so that's cool, right? Now if you're a meta sounder, you look at these parameters and you're like, I get it. So because we got LFOs, let's just do one. Why not? Like do 0 to 1. There's like freaking crazy shit that you can do now. So do this. Let's set it to be 0 1. Here we go.
Cute. Oh, that's so cute.
And of course, you can do this. Let's do I don't know, 50 to 600. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cute.
And then you get the granular duration. Let's do 10 to 500. This is going to be crazy. That's too much. 100. So this is in milliseconds. There you go.
Yep.
All right, and then playback rate. Let's do this. Let's do playback rate. Now, what's cool about this is I got reverse granulation. So we can actually
Nice. Yep.
go -2 to 2. Let's make this slower. Let's see what happens.
So cute.
Now, here's what's cool. Look at the CPU core. This is a laptop.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, so one of the things that's in here, because this is a full audio file, it's not a PCM file. It's actually an encoded audio file. Under the hood is an experiment on doing a decode cache. So each grain is going to pull from the audio file at its location. If this is like a 5-minute long audio file, this is a short file, so it's not the decode cache isn't really helping out that much. But if you had a really huge audio file, you don't want to decode the whole audio file because it's going to take up a massive amount of memory. And so the decode cache allows you to cache or decode just a section of the audio, and then the grains, therefore, from that point will be PCM audio in that tiny section. So I'm decoding just fragments of the audio file. So grains can randomly spawn throughout the audio file, but they won't. Multiple grains from the same location will not have to decode it. Is basically the idea.
What is PCM and what is this codec? Are there secret messages?
Yes. So if you click on this audio file, oh, by the way, wave editor, wave.
Oh, that's so cute.
Over here you get this. Where's the codecs defined? We got so much stuff now; it's like overwhelming. I'm sorry to all of our users with all of the power that we give you. All right.
If only there was a
what's the parameter called again?
Quality.
Compression. There we go. Compression. Okay, so sound compression type project defined. So you have all these different codecs. It defaults, I think, now to RAD or BINC. I think it's still in BINC. Internally at Epic, we're all using RAD now. BINC is still, I think, what we set for UE. RAD is a brand new audio codec, by the way. It's like BINC, but better. But we haven't yet set it to the default, I believe. It's a big deal to switch codecs. Fortnite is all in RAD now. But anyways, BINC is still pretty fine. But the point is playing an audio, like audio takes decoding, and that's expensive. And granulating each grain, decoding audio for each grain would be way too expensive.
Right.
And so that's one of the...
decoding the whole file
would take
a lot of memory, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the whole idea of the decode cache is that you can be more granular with your decode, and the grains will then run off of the decoded chunks. And so this is an experimental idea because I want to bring it in general to our whole pipeline of it, so that like a wave player. Yeah, so if you have like a wave player here, let's say you have a short duration sound file, that can go into a global decode cache that you can set for your project setting. And then short duration sounds that are repeated a lot, like weapons or gunshots or whatever, don't need to constantly redecode, which will be a huge CPU performance improvement at the cost of a decode cache.
Right.
Memory.
But, a memory pool is very easy to manage, relatively speaking.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyways, this is an experiment in that space just for this granulator, but it works. Anyways. So then the idea is going backwards is tricky because you got to read backwards through your decode cache. Anyways, it's the code on this. I don't have the code to show you because this is a minimal build. By the way, it's Min's 5.6 test project. If you go to the plugins, if you know UE, this will blow your mind. Look at the number of plugins here. This is literally the smallest possible functional Unreal Engine editor build that you could possibly make, because this is the fun story on this. So I was writing this code like up until Unreal Fest, and I was on an airplane and I couldn't figure out how to get an internal build. 5.6 hadn't shipped yet. And like this code was compiled against stuff that was missing in the preview. Anyways, there's a bunch of complicated reasons why I couldn't, but I wanted to do a short show floor demo. So I needed to figure out a way to get the Unreal Engine editor build small enough that I could download it on hotel Wi-Fi. So I got because Unreal Engine editor build, like a full build, is like freaking 30 gigs or whatever. It would have taken a whole week on hotel Wi-Fi to download.
Yeah.
So I got it down to less than, I think it was like 500 megs, some very small amount.
That's pretty awesome. That reminds me, we used to have a project a long time ago called like Tappy Bird or whatever, and it was sort of like a clicker clone, and they got like, I think the executable down to like 25 or 30 megs. It was pretty impressive, but it was a massive amount of gutting to get there.
All right, so check this. Also, this is an exciting node that I wrote that I'm going to use instead of these LFOs.
What is this exciting node?
So it's an experimental idea, but it uses node config to draw a detail customization on a curve. So if you have map range, this is a thing that we have already. So you have an input, the range of the input, the range of the output, and you get an output value. But this assumes a linear mapping. Mm-hmm. So this is essentially the same thing, but with a curve in the middle, which is extremely useful. So essentially, this can be a crazy LFO, and especially if you do wrapping inputs. I also made another experimental node, which people should be really excited about. What did I call it? Timer node? Yeah, timer. So I'll hook this up. Check this out. I'm surprised we don't have this. This doesn't use node config. It's like, this should just be checked in. Actually, in the comments, what should we name this? This is not yet checked in. There's a debate internal to Epic about what to call this. I originally called it clock. People hated it. I don't really like timer. It kind of is a timer.
Sick is a suggestion that we have. Right?
Sick. Anyways, so you start, stop, and it outputs the time. That's all this is, which is hilarious that it's that simple. And why the hell don't we already have this?
Time relative to the meta sound.
Yeah. Or no, time relative to when its start is hit.
Okay.
So it is a timer. It's like, so at any point you can click this and then it starts outputting seconds. But I'm just going to hook it up to this because now you have an incrementer. This is your T in ByteBeats that we were looking at earlier. So
that reminds me, this, perennial T room for all your T services. This is not an endorsement.
Yes.
It's just, I like T a lot.
So check this out, by the way. Actually, I'm going to write a Jira because this tooltip popping over is just driving me nuts. Anyways, so if you look at that, time value is incrementing.
It's like you're just like, I'm going to write a Jira for this.
Yeah, dude, I was on the floor trying to show this off, and this kept popping up, and I was like, oh my God, tooltips. Anyways, so by the way, this was Dan's idea, and you're listening. Like hot takes on this. Dan was like, why don't we have our debug overlays, instead of it being a hover, have a little window like Ableton Live or whatever, like you imagine down here or somewhere in our UX, where if you hover over stuff, or like we have this, like, so sine. I'll just show this to you guys. We have that oscillator overload you hover that and it would show up. You can imagine like a little window here that's like a detail
Like an inspector.
An inspector view.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great. And somewhere we can put it. This right here is not being used for anything, so maybe the inspector view can just go down there.
You make it a dockable. Everyone's got multiple monitors these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. There's
there is plans for this section down here, by the way. This is going to be something awesome in the future. That's why it's there, but it's not used for anything. If you're ever curious why it's here, like, we should just remove it.
It's still used for search, right?
I guess. I don't know. Is it
search mapping?
Okay, it is used down there for it. Anyways, but you can imagine more tabs down here.
Oh, we can have tabs till tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyways, so timer comes in. This is going to be this mapping function, and check this out. We can do grain location, and now I can do wrap inputs, and then this is the range of the inputs.
Yeah,
I can say over 10 seconds, right? And then the output is 0 to 1, and then now I can do this. Look at that. Look at this. Your mind will be blown. And this is normalized, by the way, so I can click this, I can auto, and now I've got a smoother.
You got Bezier curves.
Oh, I disconnected this.
Oh, that's so cute.
So I don't have a thing that shows you where it is, but I would love to have feedback on this. Is it like draws?
You could do maybe like a sine wave frequency mapping, and then that people would be able to hear that really easily.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you just want to show a curve, a sine wave frequency output will demonstrate the curve nicely.
Yeah, good call. I'll do that. Sine. Let's do multiply because it's too freaking loud. Not that multiply, although we could do some frequency.
Yeah, your cat mixer.
Yeah, I know. I just want to reduce the volume here. I guess I could use a cat mixer. But here we go. Check this out. All right. So then this. Get the mapping function, get this guy, make him with this. Actually, let's do 0 to 1.
Did it not copy the ustruct data?
What are you talking
about? The you copied that node, didn't it already? Didn't it have?
Did it? Oh yeah, it's not copying.
Got to make a Jira.
I don't know if yeah. Anyways, yeah, maybe that's a bug. I don't know. All right. So timer. Do this guy. All right, here we go. So in the timer, mapping function. Now you can do this. Boo boo doo beep beep. Whatever. Do that, and then 0 to 1, and then this is the linear to log. So let's get this up to 800 hertz.
Thank you.
So between 400 hertz. All right, so this is doing a 0 to 1 mapping. Then I map it to linear to frequency, and then here's the sine tone. So you can now watch it. It'll sound like shit. And then it should go down here. And then now I don't have wrapping, so it just sits there on the last note, clamps it. And then let's do it faster, 1 second.
It's great.
So you can zero.
I had a whole thing for multiple segment envelope generation, and you just swoop in with this curve editor.
Well, that's what I told you in a DM, like, hey, your thing, we could make that basically a variation of this. So you can imagine instead of the mapping function, it's your multi-segment, and then we make a trigger to go to the next key.
Right.
And that would be the same. So you could go like your thing.
I see. You could populate trigger outputs with the key.
Yeah. So you go whoop, and then you just sit here, and then you get a trigger, and it goes whoop to the next one.
There's so much potential with node configuration. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Whoop. So your thing could be done in a much because you wrote it with like a whole bunch of inputs. Like with node config, it'd just be like boom, next trigger, boom, next trigger, and then you have a whole segmented envelope generator.
Yeah. By the way, for people at home, we're talking about a node that hasn't been checked in that I wrote. And it's basically I call it simple fade. It's just one segment of an envelope shape, and it supports curve. But another really important thing is it supports seeking. so you can seek into the middle of it.
Yeah, but my point is you could make
Yes.
this thing and vary it,
Absolutely.
and you have all of that. So we can talk. Maybe next week we can talk through what the mapping function code looks like.
Yeah.
And maybe like kind of do a little bit of like, oh, we can
I
adapt.
think that'd be great.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
C++.
And and then my thing can also be a code dive as well, because my thing's a little bit.
All right, so let's get rid of this bullshit. And because I want to basically Granular, what we have here can turn into something freaking awesome, like sonically. So let's do that. So, all right, so we have the mapping range. Let's do this. The BPM. Let's do that. Let me this timer, because I'm sick of copying this everywhere. Let me do this.
So another good use case for
variable.
your timer is your Perlin noise, which some people might not realize.
Yes.
With Perlin noise, you need to the input needs to move.
Yeah. Well, by default, negative it moves on its own, but it's hard. So if you leave it untouched, there's a tooltip somewhere. We'll use internal clock in seconds if not connected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you don't have to drive it, but I have this time scale here, so this is a little bit easier to control. So you can like make the timer move slower here. You know what I'm saying?
Time is relative.
Yes, time is relative. Yes, Einstein. All right. Okay, so clock. Now there's a variable. So get this freaking on play. I'm sure Charles is out there. If he's still watching, he's like, "Oh my god, you're so terrible." Because I watch him meta sound, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is a savant meta sounding." All right. Okay. So clock input. Let's grab that guy now. So now I just disconnected it. So like clock input of it.
Yeah.
So
you're just saving it for the other part.
Yes. All right. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this map. So I've got this mapping function. This, by the way, is something annoying about this stupid Wave, this editor. This is a detail customization, by the way, so that it defaults to 0 to 1. Because I hate our default curve editor. We desperately want to make like a really beautiful audio curve editor.
Yeah.
All right. So this will now give us some variation over 10 seconds of BPM. Let's make this 32 beats. Let's see what that sounds like. What's wrong?
What's your low range? 0 to 1. That's gonna be really tough. 1 beat per minute.
Yeah. That's
even
a
30-second notes gonna be quite a long one.
Let's do up to 400 BPM. Here we go.
Oh, that's so cute.
There you go.
So cute.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So
all right.
Cute.
All right.
Oh, that's so.
Oh, one of the things in the granulator, by the way, is they can change the window node config.
Yeah.
So let's do
a sharper attack might be yeah. Something rhythmic. That's kind of cool.
Already, it's cool. All right, so now check this out. This is what's cool. This is what I was talking about, green clouds. So I can get here. I'm going to promote this to graph variable. I'm going to call this new green.
Okay.
Check this out. Okay, so new green comes in.
Yeah.
This guy comes in here. It's like green location. I can do plus a random range, random float. And on the new green, boop, I can do this. And I'm going to say, so this is going to give a little bit of a spread. This could be parameterized, but let's just spread it a bit.
Okay, yeah, I get you.
This comes in. I'm going to add, so this is the base where I'm at in the seek. And I'm going to add a little bit of thing per grain at block rate. But it turns out, I think you can't really tell.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So that's just probably too clouded. Let's do a little bit closer.
Oh, that's so cute.
All right, so grain position is less exciting than playback rate. So let's and pan. You kind of want to do a grain cloud pan.
Oh, right, because position's in percentage, so 0.01 is
yeah. That's why it's like 1%. It's hard. It's a short file, so it's like what is it? You know.
Oh, that's so
It's hard to know exactly.
What if you just and also you're landing in a lot of middles. What if you just did like half and half,
What do you mean?
like 50%, negative 50%?
Well, then it would be like then if
jump around.
Yeah, it would jump around a lot, and then what's the point of seeking through the file? You get what I'm saying? Like we have this beautiful mapping.
How about 10%?
You get what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
All right.
Okay, we
That's
got
not
a
bad.
question.
That's
We
not
got
bad.
a question
What's the question?
from yeah.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the chat, so I'm depending.
So
on
this
you.
granulator is basically a bunch of sequenced wave players, I assume, with some 80 envelope on each. So
yes, it's essentially
conceptually, that's a pretty decent explanation.
Yes,
it's a little bit more optimized.
Oh, way more optimized.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, that's conceptual. You could think of it as like reading from the. It's like if you did a wave player. It's equivalent to doing a wave player with like crazy seeking. There's a seeking, loops. Where is this?
Well, I think another thing that's
with an envelope, and it would be just crazy expensive.
Yeah, and you have multiple read heads, right? Like that. Like think about like think about like a tape player with multiple read heads.
Yes, exactly right.
They can overlap each other and stuff.
Yeah. So grain durations will overlap, so you get really cool phasing effects and shit.
Yeah.
So speaking of duration, let's do that. So now what we're gonna do is apply.
Is this also percentage?
No, this is in
milliseconds. Oh, milliseconds.
Milliseconds.
Oh, interesting.
So let's do. So we're gonna like suddenly have a spike of long, and then it'll be short, and then end it values 4 like that. All right, and we'll make it smooth. All right, here we go. Auto. Look at that, beautiful. All right, wrap. All right, so let's make it like 5 seconds. This is like the sort of structural thing. So over 5 seconds, we'll read through this file. And then this is in milliseconds. So let's do like, maybe a little bit of cloud, something like something like that. And then this, instead of 0 to 1, it's going to be like 10 milliseconds, which is short to up to a second. Let's see what that sounds like.
That's so cute.
Well, this kind of thing might sound more interesting with like a smoother attack shape for the window.
I think I don't like this randomization. I'm gonna get rid of that. I don't like. I want.
I've found jitter
there we go.
on certain things not.
There we go. You hear the phasing better if it's more. Because what you're trying to get at is the comb filtery.
Yeah.
So cute. Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute.
That's cool. All right. That is actually so cute. All right. Then playback. Let's do panning because we haven't fucked with panning yet.
So regarding the envelope shapes, is there like a benefit to the sort of canonical shapes that are provided versus something like a curve editor?
All right. So I thought about I just ran out of time of providing a curve editor for the envelope shape. That would be doable. I just didn't run into these. So the thing is, the granulator already has a bunch of these, so it was easy to hook up.
Right.
Like if you go to my grain delay over here, you'll see this envelope. It's the same ones. It's literally the same code. I just reused it. So it was easy to just try this. I wanted to add another curve that like this, but I just ran out of time. It would be easy to make your own curve. Not easy, but doable.
Yeah.
And so it would be like granular envelope, and it'd be like this, and then one of the options could probably be custom, and then you would have a thing here for your custom curve.
So one of the things that maybe this is more of like a programmer thing that I'm not 100% sure on, but like I feel like a function is more optimized than like a lookup table. So like this would be a sample table of values.
Wait, what do you mean a function?
Like a function would be like an exponential function for a shape, like an envelope shape. Like a math function that describes an envelope shape.
So essentially it is faster because of cache coherency. In the past, people would build tables for everything, but then the problem is that when you go to look up a table, you're getting out of the cache, which is the memory cache. But if it wasn't for that, a table would be faster, and it was in the past. But now CPUs are so fast, it's better to just do the computation because the data's right there.
Right. Okay.
It's like going back to RAM is slower than just doing the computation.
Right.
So
Right.
it's one of those edge
technically
cases.
yes, but it's
Yeah. So if you go to the sine, we have these different ways of generating sine.
right.
And so pure math, I think we did a whole, I forget what the results were. We did a whole perf analysis. Pure math is literally like, that's the C math library. That's what we call pure math. Oh yeah, it says right there, use the standard math library. And I think we default to wavetable, but I can't remember what the actual perf results are. I think wavetable.
I feel like sine is like one of
fast.
the most expensive in terms, because there's like
yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember
all the smooth shape.
Yeah. It would be good to like go back because I think it defaults to wavetable, but it maybe should default to 2D rotation. This was something that was really exciting to me. This is a new way to generate sine waves that Dan Thompson introduced to us.
Yeah, Dan Thompson's pretty awesome.
This is like essentially a vector rotation. I don't know. It's a really cool way to do it. Look at the code. It's in there. All right. So back to Green Pan. Let's see what this sounds like.
That's so cute.
Nice.
That's so cute.
So you can see the mapping function here.
Yeah.
So cute.
All right. And then
Pitch. I feel like
we definitely need some pitch.
Because we're like sitting in that vocal range a lot.
That's so cute. You could make a whole song. Oh, you have your idea, by the way, of like randomly selecting pitch. You did a thing on the floor. Whoa!
That's a bug.
I kind of worked, but I'm like shifting it up by 20.
We went back to ByteBeat.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was like pitching it up by 1,000. That's what it was. All right, so we don't want to do that.
Hey, it didn't crash. That was pretty good.
It did not crash.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this over a longer period of time. I'm not spending a lot of time being precious with this curve, by the way, but it's one of those things that you could like, spend a long time trying to make your beautiful curves. Let's just try that. All right, let's not go -1 to 1. -1 to 1.
Nice.
Oh, and then the random is too random. -0.1 to actually let's put 0.5. Then this is a pitch scaler. It's like playback rate scaler. That's why I call it playback rate.
That was great.
All right, so then to make everything awesome, you can feed it through stereo.
Yeah, always got to put that. Grab that little bit of reverb.
Got a little bit in it. Got a little bit. Yeah, and then basically we'll be done in a second. All right, here we go. A little feedback here. There we go. Let's try this. So make it 0.2. There we go. We got an art piece.
That's right.
Let's do. Let's try another envelope here. Gaussian.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great tech. That's I think one of the things that you don't realize until you get into like either modular synths or granulation how much influence the envelope shape has over the texture.
Oh, it's huge. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's like one of the key ones. Like upward triangle. Yeah, the discontinuities are a bit rough. Get the aliasing.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Triangle. Oh, yeah.
Anyways, it's pretty cool. You can, if you're actually a good sound designer, unlike me, you could probably do some cool shit with it. So
this was fun.
Yeah. All right. So you can stop sharing my screen now. in the
Yeah.
chat. Let's see what the audience thinks.
Thanks. Yeah. So we've got. Also, there's a lot of crosstalk here.
All right. Charles is into it.
Yep.
All right. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. What's the vibe check? What's the vibe? People into it?
I think people are chatting about stuff. They're talking about VSTs, and there you go. That was a feature right there. I don't know what it was. Now it's lost to
3
time.
minutes.
Yeah, whatever was 3 minutes ago. People talking about Portal. We've got an oh my. Like I'm sort of going the George Takei.
That was
route here.
probably after I dropped an F-bomb somewhere. Someone was probably upset about that. Oh, it's Eric. Oh, it's Eric. We know Eric. Yeah, the configure mixer.
Buchholz is
there is a
sliding in on the.
It is so
comments.
cute. Yes. Yeah, Buchholz there. So cute. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So that was fun. There's more stuff. We didn't show the panner node or the mixer node or whatever more, but they all work. It's super exciting. Since Unreal Fest, Jimmy's kept working on the cat stuff, and he's got VBAP panning in there. We've got like some HOA ambisonics. So the cat types you'll have your sound fields in Metasounds, and it'll be very exciting. So it'll be crazy. Who was that wanted a granulator?
Angelite.
I always wanted a granulator, meaning one loop sound can be infinitely more usable. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. One of the things combined with this is Q point. So 5.6 has Q point editors. So like the wave editor, you can add your own Q point. You know what I mean? It's like you add a point in your sound file of like a sample accurate trigger. Then you'll be able to get your Q point. Do we have a node that retrieves all the Q points in an array?
That's
needs
been
to
a long-standing ask.
Yeah, we need that. So then you can get your Q points and sample accurately where they are. Then hook that up to the granular like seek thing, and you'll be able to spawn grains from specific Q points that you've marked up. That would be obviously very powerful for sound design. You could imagine like footsteps could be just one file granulated. Instead of like a whole bunch of one shots, it's like you do your footsteps in one audio file, add the Q points, and then you just randomly.
That's pretty wild. That's
kind of like how like graphics do bitmaps. You know, it's like one big bitmap, and you just render different parts of it. The reason why you would do that is like one asset to manage versus a whole shit ton in an array. You know, it's a little bit more optimal. You obviously, take advantage of the cache decoder a little bit better, but also potentially do more exciting stuff on your footsteps in terms of granular parameters. You can imagine like audio file of like flames and electrical parts where you've like auto generated transients. So you go and do your recording of like, and then you get your transients on that, and then just randomly granulate off of that versus like painstakingly edit out a billion tiny samples. You just do your like. You do your like Foley
slicing.
Well, you do your Foley of like, here's my performance, import the whole file rather than painstakingly edit it.
Right.
Auto slice it up in the wave editor tool, like click a button, get all the transients, and then just feed that into a Metasound that's already hooked up to procedurally grab your transients and just randomize off of it. Like that would be crazy, you know. So there's a whole bunch of power down the road that we'll be able to do with this stuff.
I mean, if you were, but you know, along those lines, like something I just sort of thought of was that, like, if you're earmarking a file with like these sample regions, you could imagine on Cook or Pack or whatever, like auto removing the in between space. Just to sort of consolidate.
Yeah, that's part of the wave editor tool is really exciting because it's extensible, like the different processors that we can add on it. It's small now. There's not that many processors, but the architecture is there for third parties to add their own. We can easily add a bunch. So you could imagine doing like transient detection. Like we already
the onset detector.
Yeah, the synesthesia plugin already has an onset detector, which we haven't yet hooked up to the wave editor, but that's the next step, you know, to like auto generate your wave. But then you can also imagine other ones like silence detection, Group normalization, all kinds of stuff for auto processing of your assets. So bringing that into the editor will be pretty powerful down the road.
Yeah. That's exciting stuff. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was a fun time.
Yeah, this was super fun.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I am tired. This is
the 3 hours is a little bit long, isn't it?
It is.
That's that's where I have my
especially drinking an entire bottle of wine. I have let's see where I'm at. I've got a fifth of it left. So
right. Yeah, so I mean, it depends on where you started, right? It's all relative there.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you all for joining this week. I don't know what we're gonna do next week. We'll figure it out.
Maybe next week I'll play my cornet.
You said you're gonna be gone next week.
No. I think here. Let me look it up. I'm not sharing my screen right now.
No, you're not sharing your screen.
Let's next Thursday. Because I am going to visit a friend in San Francisco, but I think I should be flying back enough. July 4th. Where is it?
It's Friday.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure that's Friday. Yeah. You're gonna be flying back on the 4th? That sucks.
No. I'm flying back on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'll probably be too tired. Don't worry about it.
No, I'll be fine. Anyways, for some reason my calendar just got. Anyways, I'll look at it. Actually, let me look it up real quick. I don't have my phone on me. Anyways, I'll try to do it if I'm available.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, if you can, great, and if you can't, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Even if you're just like, I'm tired and I want to just rest, that's cool too.
Yeah.
Everyone, take care of yourself.
Yeah,
you're the only person who's gonna value yourself.
That's true.
That's.
Maybe we can get a third person here with a 3-way conversation.
We could get
So maybe
we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Or do a live performance. Maybe we can jam.
We already did. This is kind of like a live performance already.
It kind of was, yeah. All right, man.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Night.